Buongiorno and welcome to Rome. Here we go, round one of the Six Nations well underway. Last night it was an Irish night in Marseille. They managed to absolutely thump the home side, 38 points to 17. What an occasion that was, as Ireland will be looked to try and defend that Grand Slam title. My name is Sara Orchard. I'm going to be bringing you full commentary of Italy against England as they both get their campaigns underway. And I'm delighted to say I'm joined by 5 Live Sports' greatest rugby tourist, probably better known to you as 2003 Rugby World Cup winner, Paul Grayson. How are you?
Hello, Sara. Thank you for that introduction.
Well, you are up there with the best. You were nearly bumped off your plane yesterday, but you talked your way back on.
I did. I was very polite, and a nice lady let me on the plane rather than chucking me off for a couple of hours later. So all here safe and sound. What a place to be.
What a place to be. What an occasion. So much unexpected from both sides this afternoon. Let's just remind ourselves what happened at the World Cup. England, of course, came away from it with those bronze medals around their necks, came within 1 point of getting to the World Cup final in that semi-final against South Africa. Italy, they ended that World Cup pretty disastrously. Huge losses for them against New Zealand and then also against France that they're having to overcome now with a new head coach, Gonzalo Caseda, the former Pumas fly half, now in charge. I'm going to run you through the two teams in just a moment, but first of all, Paul Grayson, on paper, is this England's day? And when we remind ourselves they haven't won an opening match now for quite a while in the Six Nations.
I know, and we've been questioning England a lot over the last few years, haven't we? Their general level of performance in the Six Nations has been not the wrong side of dismal. And I mean, we come to Rome and you look around the stadium now, the amount of white shirts that are here. England are not short of support. I met some old friends yesterday in Rome, and you end up talking to spectators who, they love England. They love the Six Nations. They want England to compete in the Six Nations and win it if they can. Whilst they enjoy the delights of Rome and travelling, England supporters want England to play well and to win matches, which they haven't been doing. So I'm hopeful. I like the look of the team. There's good balance to it. I hope they're given the freedom to express themselves, because as good as the World Cup ended up being, statistically we came third and we nearly got to the final. We didn't have to do a lot to get there, but the body of work building up to that was awful. So hopefully, new Six Nations, new dawn, refreshed England, Borthwick's England now, no excuses, no hangovers, it's all his to own. Let's hope they start well.
Well, 13 minutes to go until kick-off. Both teams are inside in the changing rooms right now, so let's run you through these lineups. Starting off with England, who are the away team here at Stadio Olimpico. Fullback, 15, Freddie Stewart. Onto the wings, you've got Tommy Freeman winning his 4th cap wearing 14, Elliot Daly winning his 65th wearing 11. Into that centre partnership, Henry Slade returns after missing out on the World Cup, alongside Fraser Dingwall of Northampton Saints, who is on debut. Into the half-back combination of George Ford wearing 10 and Alex Mitchell at 9. Alex Mitchell overcoming a late injury. He had a bit of an infected cut, as we understand, on his leg, but he is fit to play. Moving into the forwards, you've got Joe Marler and then the New England captain, Jamie George, wearing 2 on his back with Will Stewart at 3. Into the engine room, the second row, Maratoja is named as a vice-captain alongside Ollie Chesham. And then the back row, we've got another debutant, Ethan Roots of Exeter, alongside Sam Underhill and Ben Earl. Moving on to the bench, you've got Theo Dan that is. Then at 17, a late change. Ellis Genge has had to pull out of the matchday lineup. We understand that he suffered a foot injury. That's different to the hamstring injury he had previously. So Beno Urbano comes in wearing 17. Dan Cole at 18. Alex Coles is the reserve second row at 19. Chandler Cunningham South could make a debut wearing 20 on his back, the Quins man. Danny Kerr could win cap number 97 with 21 on his back. Finn Smith, so many wanted the Northampton Flyer to actually get a start, but it's not to be. If he comes off the bench, he's on debut, as is Exeter winger Manu Fewe-Waboso. Still waiting for the teams to emerge, so time to run through Italy. At 15, Tommaso Allen. Lorenzo Pani, he's a late call-up to wear 14 after Ange Capuozzo, the inspirational wing, he's had to pull out with illness. Monty Ioane wears 11. Into the centres, Tommaso Mononcello and Juan Ignacio Brecht's very established centre combination there. Paolo Garbisi wearing 10, and then his younger brother, Alessandro Garbisi, wearing 9. Moving into the forwards, Daniello Fischetti, Gianmarco Lucchesi and Pietro Ceccarelli make up your front row. Nicole Cannone and Federico Ruzza, he'll come out and lead the Italian team on the occasion of his 50th cap. Sebastian Negri, one of the stars of that Netflix documentary, wears 6. Michele Lemero, the captain, at 7, and Lorenzo Cannone at 8. Onto the bench, moving swiftly forward. Still no sign of the teams just yet. Gianmarco Nicotera at 16. A debut for Mirko Spagnolo if he comes off the bench wearing 17. Another Benetton player in Jose Zulocchi at 18. Andrea Zamboni, and he wears 19. Another debutant in Alessandro Ezeko if he comes on. And then Manuel Zuliani, Stephen Varney and Federico Mori make up the Italian bench. Who are you more excited to see? I mean, with the extra debutants, 5 in total there for England, there's a couple there for Italy, but you do just feel with England that's where the excitement lies in the unknown.
Yes, it does, and the opportunity for someone like Ethan Roots to pile into international rugby. He's a interesting story of how he ended up playing rugby, how he ended up at Exeter, and in the blink of an eye he's got an England rose on his chest. So looking forward to seeing his impact on the game. Chuffed for Fraser Dingwall, gets a go at 12. Owen Farrell stepping away from international rugby. No Manu Tuolangi around. Fraser Dingwall's the number 1 12 in the country at the moment, playing brilliantly for Northampton. Hopefully him and Henry Slade in the centres can click pretty quick and get some space for Tommy Freeman and Elliot Daly and Freddie Stewart to do their thing. But those two in particular at 6 and 12 I think can have a big effect on the game.
And of course a new captain in Jamie George, who's just led England out of the changing room, and he's such a different character to Owen Farrell, who of course had already decided to step away. But you do feel maybe he's so different to Owen Farrell that helps completely give you the blank page.
Yeah, it was interesting listening to the Rugby Union Daily, Chris and Danny and Jamie George. It was like they were just having a laugh, making a pod, and there was no stress. And yet that's your New England captain, who's respected by everybody. His body of work as a player is magnificent and second to none, really. A British and Irish Lion, a leading figure in all the success that Saracens had. Very respected. Now's his time to step up, put your own mark on it, and hopefully the other leaders and experienced players in the team, Marler, Itoje, Ford, Slade, will step up and support him.
Well, here come the teams, and as we said, Federico Ruzza comes out on his own for Italy on the occasion of his 50th cap. Now England and Italy, the rest of the teams make their moves from the bowels of the stadium, because that's where the changing rooms are, and then they slowly make their way up the steps on the left and right hand side of the tunnel. And we can see Jamie George leading out England for the first time. He said he had goosebumps when he saw his name on the team sheet. Now it's real.
There's always something different about emerging from underground into a stadium. Shades of Gladiator walking out from underneath as opposed to straight out of the tunnel. From personal experience gives you that subterranean view of the stadium, and then suddenly you're out into the bright light. It's spine-tingling moment as a player.
Well, both sides are just lining up on either side. This is where we have to give a little bit of credit, of course, to Ross Petty, who we always keep a little bit of an eye on when it comes to statistics as they start emerging throughout this tournament. And Jamie George, he's quite used to actually scoring against Italy. I believe it's on the last 3 occasions he's actually managed to touch down when he's played against them. So maybe he'll be looking to add to that one once we get underway. Right, the refereeing team is making their way out. Paul Williams of New Zealand. Television match official is Brett Conan of Australia, and then the touch judges are Nick Berry and Nika Amush-Kelly. Rugby will now make it stand against racism, and will ask the crowd to respect that, as there is no space for it, of course, in this sport. A few things for everyone to watch out for when we get underway in this fixture will, of course, be the bunker. If you followed the World Cup, you will be adjusted to what the bunker is, what it's all about. If you watched last night's match between France and Ireland, you'll know what it's all about. But it is the first time we've had it in the Six Nations. So we'll talk you through what's going on, should our referee today actually refer something to the bunker on that occasion. All of the players for this Six Nations, they're also wearing smart mouth guards as well. It means there's that little chip inside their gum shields that can determine what kind of an impact they've had on the field. And that's all being provided by World Rugby as they continue to try and improve the outcomes for players when it comes to head injuries. Right then, everyone's still waiting for the anthems to get underway, but they're just going to have a moment's silence first of all for Saint Nizoni, who passed away. Well, just a moment there marked by Stadio Olimpico as everyone now gets to their feet. And we will now have the anthems. You are listening to BBC Radio 5 Live Sports Extra. We're bringing you Six Nations commentary from the Stadio Olimpico, and we now have the anthems. Of course, God Save the King. We will now have the march of the Italians.
Tutti in piedi, cuore al cielo, cantato dall'ex azzurro Danny Stallan, insieme l'inno della Repubblica Italiana.
Pleasantries complete. Both teams will now go and take their tracksuits off and get ready to get their Six Nations campaign underway. Italy against England is now just a few moments away. We're bringing you full commentary here on 5 Live Sports Extra. Alongside me, 2003 World Cup winner Paul Grayson. And just a quick reminder, of course, Marcus Smith, he had to pull out of the squad earlier in the week. We understand a calf injury, had to go off and have a scan. So it's George Ford who's been given the keys to number 10. Would you have liked to have seen Finn Smith of Northampton Saints start?
Yeah, I think it would have been sensible. 9, 10 and 12, all from Northampton. You don't need... England haven't had many training sessions, but those boys have done thousands together, so I don't think it would have been as big a risk as perhaps it's perceived. And Finn Smith is mature beyond his years. Anybody who's heard him speak or be interviewed, he's incredibly mature young man, so I don't think it would have been a massive risk. But Steve picks the team, and he's gone with the hugely experienced George Ford, who, if England can click and Mitchell can create the pace in the game that he does for Northampton Saints. You might see the best of George Ford.
And of course, George Ford winning his 92nd cap today. He's the most experienced player who's starting today. Of course, we do have Dan Cole and Danny Kerr on the bench. You do have more caps than him, but he will be steering the ship to start off with in that starting 15. Alex Mitchell, as we said, he was a late one as well. It was touch and go as if he was actually going to be involved in this squad with that leg injury that he had. But he's okay, and he's out there waiting. It looks like it's going to be Italy who are going to be kicking us off here at the Stadio Olimpico. They're going to be travelling from left to right. They're wearing their, of course, bright royal blue shirts with white socks and white shorts and royal blue socks. And then England in full resplendent white, waiting on the right-hand side of the field. They'll be travelling from right to left. Now, we've had a lot of talk in the build-up to this match about a white wall. There are lots of England fans in here, no question about that, but I have to say we thought it might sell out here at Stadio Olimpico. That was the rumour. It's a 73,000 capacity, but there's still plenty of pockets of seating, which is a little bit disappointing.
Yeah, it is. It's a big stadium though, isn't it? I reckon probably beyond 80% capacity, so there's still a good number of people in here in fantastic mood. Let's hope they get a treat.
Yeah, and they should do. We are in the Italian sunshine, 17 degrees as we get ready. Italy against England is underway. We hear the whistle then of Paul Williams of New Zealand. Garbisi sends the ball flying into the Rome sky. Maratogia is underneath it for England, inside of the English 22. And the Six Nations is now well underway. And it's an early penalty here for England.
Good from Itoji there. Called his lifters off late, said don't pick me up, I'm going to catch it. Feet on the ground because he knew he'd got enough time. They immediately set up the maul. So when the Italian players piled in and pulled it to the ground, easy choice for the referee to give the penalty straight away.
And a nice position for England to find themselves in. They've now got a line out inside of the Italian half, pretty much on the 10-metre line, as Jamie George, the England captain, let us not forget, goes to go and gather the ball.
Giving the ball boy the hurry up there, Sara. He wants to get on with it quick.
He really does, and we're just looking at the formation of this line-up. They've only gone for 4 men in it. It's come back down, so there's plenty of forwards hanging around that back line. Goes through the guts of the park. The ruck is reasonably quick. All of a sudden then just slowed down there by Alex Mitchell at the last occasion. So I'm not sure if that's quite the speed that England are expecting, as Freddie Stewart now has it out on the far side of the field. Mitchell gathers it, brings it back inside. They're about 10 metres from the far side touch, inside of Italian territory, flirting on that halfway line. 1 minute in, Italy 0, England 0. Mitchell once again manages to get it through. Huge crashing run coming in by Chesham, who ran straight into that blue wall, but it's a penalty for Italy. Straight away there by Paul Williams. He's pointing down to the ground, holding on the floor by Chesham, but that wallop he got, he just held on for half a second too long.
Good from both teams there. England's intent in the midfield, off the top line out, flat ball to Fraser Dingwall. Little short pop off his shoulder to his number 8, Ben Earl. Good tackle from Italy. England went the same way, then came back 2 phases later. Chesham ran the short line and got tonked by somebody in the tackle. So good attack versus good defence. He's a big man, Chesham. It was a superb hit. He got over the ball, so good right decision from the referee, but a bright start from England nonetheless.
And Italy from that have got the best attacking position we've seen so far in this fixture. We're only 2 minutes in, but they're on the England 22-metre line. They go short up the front. England don't contest it. They just wait for it to come down to try and defend them all. Itoje is in there with those long levers just grappling over the top. It's managed to get to the back to Garbisi. He's got a little bit of support running in from Menoncello, who then pops off the ball. And Italy so far camped outside of the 22. Huge rucking coming in there by England and pushing the Italians backwards. I mean, this is a new defensive formation we're following now for England. Of course, Felix Jones has come in to take that on from Kevin Sinfield. Still involved in the England squad, of course, but that is no longer part of his job spec, as the ball just pops over the head almost there of Elliot Daly. He had to grab it and bring it back down. So England have it inside the 22, and this is a familiar sight now for England. A caterpillar ruck, nice and long, managed to get to the back by Mitchell, as it's then sent long over the heads of the Italians. Goes out of play on the far side. It'll be an Italian line out just inside of the England half.
Great kick from Mitchell there, from the back of that ruck up almost to halfway line. Interesting to see the change in their defensive system. Steve Borthwick said Felix Jones the most intense man he's ever met. So they're having some sort of intense off there, aren't they? Ridiculous. But England certainly need a lift in that department. Kevin Sinfield came in, couldn't crack the code.
And Italy have come away nicely from that line out. Really good from them. They're up to the 10 metre. They've switched back direction towards the far side. England slightly discombobulated, but the passes just don't connect. We come back for a penalty though for Italy, and I think they're saying offside. So an early opportunity. This is within kickable range for Italy. It's probably on the edge, but yeah, they're going to go for goal. Garbisi likes it.
Nice from Italy from
Tommaso
the line
Allen.
out, creating their blind side, looking like they were going to fold round the corner and then darting back to that blind side late. It's a strong carry in midfield and then a late switch. Garbisi taking the ball deep. Maro Itoje, I think it was, had just strayed offside, but there was definitely space. They've obviously done a little bit of homework on England in defence, Italy, because it was pre-planned and it did open them up a bit.
Well, it's Perpignan's Tommaso Allen who is taking on kicking duties here. He's actually 10 points away from Diego Dominguez's total of 162 points, and that is the most points scored by any Italian in the Six Nations. Can he get a little bit closer? That's a lovely strike there by Allen, absolutely through the middle of the post, and it's Italy who caused the first impact on the scoreboard. It's Italy 3, England 0, 5 minutes on the clock.
Good strike from the fullback. He does give Italy a little bit like England were trying to do when they put Marcus Smith at fullback. He has played a lot of his rugby at fly-half, Tommaso Allen, so put him in the 15 shirt gives Italy the opportunity to play much wider with more control.
Restart from England and a huge run there from the forwards just to try and make sure there was no quick ball for Italy, but a penalty early on, hands in there from England straight away. So I can only assume they went off their feet and were still trying to jackal it, and again it's Itoje who is put up on the big screens as the offender. Italy with a free hit here to try and clear out on the far side of the field. They're inside of their own 22 by about 4 or 5 metres, and they get a chance just to try and get that one away. For all of the pressure and the intensity from England so far in this fixture, they haven't got much forward, and it's Italy again with the attacking platform inside of the England half by about 5 or 6 metres.
Just stamping his authority, isn't he, the referee? Early in the game, just letting everybody know that he's not going to put up with people pushing the boundary, so he's gone early to the whistle, so there's no real flow yet.
Well, they've got a little bit of a touchdown there, England, so they've stolen the Italian line-out ball. It's going to come away now through Underhill. He manages to pop it off on that occasion to Ben Earl. Ben Earl, of course, he made such a name for himself at the World Cup in France, really cemented himself in that number 8 shirt, such as his work rate now. Ball goes forward. Joe Marler wearing one on his back, who trucks it on, and then it's set up eventually to go back for forward. High ball from him, being chased down this near side wing. Underneath it there was Elliot Daly. He's now pushing forward. The Italians push back inside of their own half by an extra 5 metres. They're playing at the moment between the 10 and the 22. Gathered then by Alessandro Garbisi, the younger of the Garbisi brothers. He feeds it out towards the forwards. They set it up pretty much parallel to where he was before. And this time we see the Italians, it's their turn for the Caterpillar ruck to try and slow this down, get them back down the other end of the field. High ball goes up, it's being chased there by Lorenzo Pani, unable to be taken, and England take it back inside of their own half just. A bit of pressure there on Mitchell as the Italians just pushed a little bit harder at the ruck to disrupt, but the ball's been knocked on.
Yeah, it was ripped, but then it went forward.
Huge frustration there from England. You could hear there the annoyance.
Ripped by blue, but then it went forward by white.
There you go. And I think it was Will Stewart there with the annoyance. And we'll pack down our first scrum, 7 minutes in.
Just got time off here. We've got the Lucy count.
As Eddie Jones just pops up on the big screen. He didn't get booed for once. That's nice.
Well, I don't know how many people have spotted him yet. Just looking around. And I can hear a little bit of a murmur going on around the stadium now. Eddie Jones, of course, now the Japan coach. And England and Japan will be playing a little bit later this year. Maybe that's why he's in the house watching on. Of course, we have a new Australia coach. He's only been named in the last few weeks in the form of Joe Schmidt, taking on, and all the narrative that will build up now between Schmidt and Farrell in the build up to that line still, but we're focusing on all things Six Nations right now, and you're not missing any action because the Italian captain Michele Lamera, he's having a little bit of treatment at the moment to his head. They're just turning his head into a bit of a mummy. He's taken a bit of a knock. There's a little bit of claret there. They'd like him to stay on the field, so just getting him ready so they can pack back down. So you've got Fischetti, Lucchesi and Ceccarelli in the front row for Italy, going up against Marler, George and Stewart. Big moment here for Will Stewart. He's never really quite cemented himself as a starter for England, so it's a big moment for him to actually get the 3 shirts.
Yeah, to get the nod is one thing, then you've got to deliver. His form is excellent. He's deserving of his place in the team. It's an Italian put into this scrum, so whether England will go to work on them too much or not, I probably doubt. But it's certainly an area where England will look to flex their muscles during the course of the game.
Well, England do have a significant weight advantage at the scrum. It's a good 30 kg they've got on the Italians, and that first scrum has gone straight down to ground. Listen in.
Same one that we had in there. We hit and we hold. We hit, we hold. We take the pressure, we hold the pressure.
Well, I don't know how much of that you heard with the PA system blaring, but it was, in summary, we hit, we hold. The ball was not even in yet. As we actually got to see ref cam, Paul Grayson. Are you excited by ref cam?
I think we've had ref cam before, haven't we? But there was back in the old days where they had to run around carrying scaffolding with a camera on it. A bit more slick these days, perhaps.
You have surmised it beautifully. You might remember a huge camera sticking out of the referees' shirts that they have now trimmed down. We last saw it in 2020. It's back, and we've been told we will see a lot more of it now because it's a bit smaller, particularly at scrum time, as that did go down, that scrum, but the ball's out quick enough for the Italians to take it forward. If you're joining us here on 5 Sports Extra, it's Italy 3, England 0. Ball down on the ground for Italy inside of the English half, and Italy still throwing the ball around as it goes out towards this near side, taken on by Lorenzo Pani, one of the Zebre wingers, and Garbisi now with a crossfield kick. There is open field there. That's a great kick. Oh, the bounce of the ball doesn't work for them. Good tracking back in the end there by Tommy Freeman to deal with the danger, but that was a great little bit of a looking around, seeing where the space was by Paolo Garbisi.
Okay, so from the scrum they dumb it to go down the short side, down the right hand side, Italy, and then Menoncello carried it strongly into the midfield. Again they changed direction, looked to play left and then came back to the right. There's a ball over the top. They didn't really make any yardage. England managed to activate their back three and close it off, and then the crossfield kick, had it been lower and flatter and directly to Ioane, he would definitely have been away. They just hung in the air too long and let the England wing recover.
Well, Gonzalo Cressida, the new Italian coach, he was there nodding away, very happy with that last movement from his side, but it did breed in the end. An England line out on the far side of the field. They're trying to maul this one away from the line out. Stuck in the middle of that, we see Joe Marler, Will Stewart, Maratoja as well. Now Mitchell tried to get that one away, but he was very quickly scragged in the end by Canone. So the ball deemed to have gone backwards though, so no problem here for England. It just means we get another caterpillar and a box kicking coming from Mitchell, which has gone well so far for him. Is that one going to find touch? No, it's not. It's managed to find Ioane out on the far side. Ioane now playing his rugby at Lyon as the ball comes down the Italian line, and they're once again stuck on the halfway. Now this is good from Italy. They managed to break through. Really strong stuff. It's Canone who managed to get away to Garbisi. Italy are going to score. Alessandro Garbisi was on the shoulder of Lorenzo Canone, and they go straight under the posts. It is Italy that now lead in Rome 8-0. England still haven't fired a shot.
Well, we wondered what would come of England's defensive reboot. That looked like the same old story to me. Nothing complicated from Italy apart from managing their possession well. And then Chesham came flying out of the line for a big hit. There was a disconnect in midfield, and then an offload as Italy got through the middle. The inside pass, I think, hit Varney on the leg. Looked like it had gone forward, but he made no contact with it. That is a clean break and a superb offload from Negri. And then Varney managed to step out of the last tackle as the ball bounced up into his hands. Gaping hole in the middle of the England defensive line there, though.
Well, it's Alessandro Garbisi who goes over and scores the try. The younger brother, 21 years old, to Paolo Garbisi, as the extras are also added now. And that means Italy have a 10-0 lead here in Rome with 12 minutes on the clock. The England coaching box are looking on, such serious dour faces. I mean, there's no panic there, but again, England always accused of sleepwalking into a Six Nations, and again, that danger feels ever present.
Yeah, but and that line speed is great. We hear it all the time in terms of a defensive line, getting off the defensive line as fast as you can to close space and go and knock people over, put pressure on their skills, force mistakes. But it has to be unified. You've got to go together. England were ones and twos there. Chesham out the line, created the dogleg, created the space. So all that aggression and intensity and menace that you're going to bring, if you get it wrong, it has the adverse effect.
Change here then for the Italians. Manuel Zuliani coming onto the field. Lorenzo Canone, who was heavily involved in that last try, is off the field having some strapping. So it's obviously not, I don't think it's for blood. I haven't got an indication that it is at the moment, so we're going to keep a close eye on that one at the moment. But it's a 6-2 split that Italy have gone for on the bench, so they've had to use one of their forwards early doors here on 12 minutes. So Zuliani onto the field, one of the many Benetton players, and I can see our referee at the moment, Paul Williams. He's just doing a bit of maths, and as soon as I say that, they're going to swap back on again. So exactly as we said, Zuliani is off the field and Canone is back on. Who knows what is going on there? But I think they're having a discussion, the realisation that they couldn't take him on, because that would have been a permanent one. I think Italy are quite lucky there, to be fair. If the player had actually come onto the field, maybe they got away with one. 12 minutes on the clock. Italy 10, England 0. Try for Alessandro Garbisi as he went straight under the posts. England still haven't really had an attack down in the Italian half of the field, as the ball bobbles around now as Italy receive. Huge contest going on at the ruck. England eventually get the ball. Right, they're outside of the Italian 22 by about 10 metres. Ruck set up, Mitchell looks up, finds Ford, he's going to push it down the line, big spinning pass out in the end, goes to Slade up to the 22, popped up ball to Dingwall, lovely bit of work there by Dingwall to get available and over the 22. Now we see Ethan Roots on the ball, another debutant. We'll be talking a lot about him throughout this fixture. Better from England, they are reacting to what's just happened. Earl now on the ball, he's on the 22 as well. 6 phases put together by England, nothing on the scoreboard for them. Is something building? Popped off once again, Slade heavily involved, making sure that he makes his presence felt. Earl manages to take on the ball after it's fed to him by Underhill. Underhill, who got player of the match, let us not forget, in that bronze medal match at the Rugby World Cup. He was called into that squad late and he made a huge impression and took his opportunity when he got that start in Paris. And it's a penalty here for England on the 22-metre line, and would they kick? Would they kick? George Ford is looking. He is going to go for goal. Your thoughts, Paul Grayson?
Yeah, test match, kickable penalty, take your points. I mean, yes, 10-0's not where England wanted to be after 14 and a half minutes, but that's sport, it happens. They certainly have banked on scoring more than 10 points themselves in the game, so you kind of park it and get back to your plan, which will be to put some pressure on Italy. I like the width that they played with that to the left-hand side. Nice pass from Dingwall, put Slade on the arc on the outside, which we've seen him do so many times for Exeter. And ultimately, after 4 or 5 phases, Italy had to gamble to slow the ball down, which gives the penalty away. And that's kind of rinse and repeat. That's good rugby from England. So take your points and get back to doing it again.
George Ford, the sailman, takes the ball. It's bang on the 22-metre line, 20 metres out from the far side touch. Not too much of a wind here in the Stadio Olimpico as he uses his right boot to bounce that one off the post, but it's bounced in, so England will take that and they are on the scoreboard in Rome. It is Italy 10, England 3, and we'll have the restart by the Italians once everyone's got back to the other end of the field.
He used the full width of the posts there, George Ford. Just skimmed in off the right-hand post. He was, well, golfing terms, it was a tap-in, and it just caught the right half of the hole.
Hey, doesn't matter how they go through, as long as they go through, you will be happy with your team. Right then, Italy 10, England 3, 15 minutes on the clock. England regather inside of their own 22 from the restart. Of course, Italy have never beaten England before in their previous 30 test matches. This number 31, the first one they actually met each other was back in 1991 as the box kick comes in from Mitchell. Comes out on this near side. Now, I thought there might have been a hand on that one as it came out, but I'm assuming they're going to say it was a charge down. So it's an Italian line out on the near side of the field. They're just deciding, Italy, what they're going to do. And we must remember, of course, one of the laws that teams have to abide to now is that they shouldn't be forming those little huddles as they come into the line out. They just need to be getting on with it. It's all about speeding up the game. As Lucchesi puts the ball in, goes long towards the back. It was taken back there by Negri, and we go through the hands for Italy, but it's lost forwards. It manages to end up to Elliot Daly. There's space here. Going forward now through Freddie Stewart. He rolls over the halfway line. England will need quick ball. Managed to pop it back. Earl back inside then to the big lumbering man that can only be Mauro Itoje. English ball through the guts. This is nice hands from them. Comes out towards this near side. Ethan Roots is hanging out there. He makes a good 3 or 4 metres. Mitchell is zipping about trying to get this distribution as quick as possible. Over the top of the ball, Mitchell again, that ball was out. He was lucky to hold on to that. He can see some space through. He's got no one on his shoulder to give it to. Italy straight over the top. Somehow Underhill is there. England a little bit lucky here with their discipline around this attacking rucks. You can see Roots just trying to scramble slightly slower as Will Stewart comes in to pass off the ball to his fellow prop in the form of Harlequins Joe Marler. Mitchell. Once again, this time he manages to find Freeman, and this Italian defensive line is getting a little bit more lively and alive to what England are actually trying to do here. Will Stewart takes it on now for phase 8 of this English attack. Little bit of a kick over the top there by Ford. It's going to be gathered by Italy. It's Garbisi who's there, and now Ioane. It's the sort of thing we wouldn't previously have seen of England. They might have grubbed that through in the past, but not really the little one over the top for you to gather. As the ball is going to bounce and bounce and bounce. England have hacked it on. It's not going to go over the dead ball line. It's going to land inside the goal area, so it's going to be a goal line drop out to Italy.
Massive in-goals here at the Stadio Olimpico. So that was always going to roll through. England picked, as I was watching the game here, the Italian backfield opened up. Then they had one defender covering the whole width. If England had played to the left and then put a grubber kick in, there would have been potential danger. As it was, they chipped over in the middle and conceded possession, but at least you know that the comms are coming in, that the space is there, so they're playing with their heads up. Italy fully fresh, quarter of an hour in, 18 minutes in, throwing themselves into the tackle, but some attacking intent from England at least.
Yeah, you can see just a few little changes from what you would have seen from England at the World Cup already, as Ethan Rich, great carry from him. Remember, he's on debut today. All 5 of the debutants out there could have played for another country. Chosen breakthrough now by Tommy Freeman. Can he get the pass away? Yes, he can. Elliot Daly will go over for England. Down in the corner. They're pretty confident that his feet were in, and England have a chance to level here now at the Stadio Olimpico as Elliot Daly goes over for what is his 19th try in an England shirt. It's now Italy 10, England 8.
Lovely try from England, playing from right to left. George Ford getting tight to the defensive line and pulling the ball back. Slade doing the same, going deep into the defensive line as he can, as he dare, before he pulls the ball back to Tommy Freeman. Like a ghost behind him, just suddenly appears. Great attacking play after the initial break from Freeman out to Daly on the left hand side. Lovely stuff.
Really nice assist by Freeman if you had him in your fantasy team. Do you play fantasy rugby anymore, Paul Grayson?
Never played it.
Really?
No.
Fair enough.
Real rugby, that'll do me.
Okay. I had to stop playing because I spent too long thinking about it. It took up too much of my life.
It is serious business, isn't it?
It really is. As Elliot Daly touches down in the corner. So we're now waiting for George Ford to kick this. I didn't know if there was an outside chance that we might see Henry Slade doing a little bit of a kicking today. Not at the moment. It is all George Ford as Monty Ioane is flying up towards Ford. That's a strong kick there by Ford, but it's gone to the right-hand side of the uprights. So it's still Italy who hold on to their lead here by 2 points here now at Stadio Olimpico. It is Italy 10, England 8. And finally, we have seen England in attack.
Yeah, great. And Tommy Freeman doing what he does so often for Northampton, timing his entry into the line from the blindside wing, right winger making a break. 15 metres in from the left-hand touchline, so he's a long way from home when he goes through the hole. Good stuff.
Yeah, Tommy Freeman there made his debut against Australia in 2022 when Eddie Jones had that successful series out there. As the ball goes down to the floor, England have it from the restart inside of their 22. Italy 10, England 8. Just a reminder that coming up here on Sports Extra, the rugby continues, of course. We'll have Wales against Scotland at 4:45 p.m. James Burridge, Philippa Tutiat and Andy Nicol are waiting for you at the Principality Stadium as the ball goes out of play on this near side.
Awesome from Mitchell, that. 3 times in a row. That's an obvious change for England. Happy to go to touch. But he's doing what Antoine Dupont does for France. 3 times he's got the ball nearly to the halfway line. And this last one, he's gone from inside his own 22, tight to the touchline, and he's made touch just about half a yard short of the Italian 10-metre line. That's a stunning kick from Mitchell.
Also stunning when we think about Alex Mitchell's journey, because of course he wasn't originally in Steve Borthwick's Rugby World Cup squad, as the line-out is disrupted by England, and they managed to gather for it. He's now pretty much cemented himself as England's first choice, as Mitchell is now waiting for the ball to emerge at the back of the ruck. So strong work from the forwards to disrupt that Italian line-out, which was back inside of the Italian half. England now have it. They're about 5 metres inside of their own half. And Mitchell's just using his boot to try and dig that one out and drag it back down. Stadio Olimpico in pretty good voice here in Rome. Loads of white shirts have been out and about around the city as the ball is high in the air and it's a real mess, and Roots has got it. We're playing advantage now to England as it's gone forward by the Italians. Ball is down on the ground. England still locked out of that Italian 22 for now as it's spun out down the English line. Big hit going in there on Dingwall. Back towards Itoje, who didn't want to take it in himself. And it's interesting, England are trying to keep this ball alive in ways that perhaps we haven't previously seen in their attack before. Chesham now, they're not looking for those first contacts. They're looking for someone maybe to go get more of a shoulder, go around the corner, maybe throw an extra pass. Little trip over the head, again coming in by Ford, not quite inside of the Italian 22. We've seen him do that twice now. Ioane under pressure inside of the Italian 22, and the ball is down to the ground. Italy trying to get it out of their own 22. Alessandro Garbisi has to use his forwards.
Tommaso Allen should have marked that, caught the ball clean in his own 22, taking the pressure off his team as the referee gives a penalty for England going too hard in the breakdown again.
But you didn't win it cleanly. Your hands were on the ground first and then rake the ball back. I need to see you straight on the ball and lifting.
Ethan Roots
first,
there.
Not supporting body weight.
But it is interesting. You can see the differences already in this English attack to what we saw at the World Cup.
Yeah, they're definitely trying to work some better shapes. There's more ball movement, more passes before contact. And you don't make breaks every time. What you do is put the defence under enough pressure to force them into a mistake, whether that's a system error where you make a break or they get stressed and give a penalty away. You can either accumulate points or reinforce your territory. There, England decided to go to the boot after 5 or 6 phases. They didn't find any space, but there was enough pressure for Tommaso Allen to make the mistake of not giving the mark. They were then scrambling to clear their lines. It was only Ethan Roots giving the penalty away that took the pressure off. But as a team, you want repeated sets like that, where the outcome is the last thing you do puts more pressure on the opposition. So as much as England didn't get anything out of it and gave a penalty away, that is a good template for them to get on top of Italy and start to build psychological lead and then a physical one.
Well, talking of physicality, it was Sam Underhill who's just had a little bit of treatment when it comes to that little break in play we've had. He seems to be absolutely fine. I think they've just restrapped a few things for him and he's back in that England defensive line. Italy with the penalty inside of their own 22 and looking to get out of here. They've been stuck down in this porridge for a little bit of a while now, such has been the English pressure. So they still have the 2-point lead, 23 minutes on the clock. Italy 10, England 8, as Italy send it down the far side of the field to line themselves up with a very nice platform. It's a line out inside of the England half, pretty much on the 10-metre line. And Tommaso Allen is just looking around him, seeing what's being set up, and the Italian forwards slowly start to arrive. Benetton's Lucchesi made his debut back in 2020, winning his 18th cap today. Huge long pass over the top, unable to be taken in the end by Brex. Little bit of a miscommunication. I'd say England were tracking that reasonably well as well. That could have been a big clash there, but it's gone out of play on the far side. It'll be an England line-out.
They knew what was coming, England. They knew the ball was going to go over the top, and they were almost dead in line with that. And it looked like England were about 8 metres back from the line-out, and Italy were a good 10 and it was their throw, so England beat them to the punch there.
Yeah, Jamie George and Ben Earl almost clashing into each other in an attempt to try and stop that ball. So we've managed to see it go out of play on the far side of the field. England line out, nice and short up the front, cleanly taken by Chesham and tried to be mauled away from their own 22-metre line. And the heave comes up from the England fans who are here inside of the Stadio Olimpico. They don't want to see England at this end of the field, they want to see them at the other end. Mitchell now uses that long right boot. It's been success from that far side wing, and huge hit going in from Tommy Freeman on Ioane. Slow ball this time for Italy. Alessandro Garbisi back inside of his own half, wants to find a few forwards. Danilo Fischetti, he says, I'll take this one forward for you, my friend. Garbisi looks up, the fly half variety. There's a nice little loop there by the Italians. This is what they're good at as they run through now. Going through now, it's Menoncello. Oh, still an opportunity back inside. That's beautiful stuff. And it's going to be another try for Italy through Tommaso Allan. 2 tries for the Italians. And what a move that came from inside of their own half to go over. This English defence still is a work in progress. It's Italy 15, England 8.
England's line out, they create the drive, they've got players packed into them all. Mitchell goes with the box kick, good chase from Freeman, and they knock the Italians over. And then England are just so tight in defence. Fischetti carried it once, and then Italy went to town. 10 to 12, 12 close to the line, flips it behind 13, back to 10. Textbook, you see it over and over again. They did it under pressure, got outside England, and then brilliant decision making on the wide outside once they'd made the breakaway. Could have gone outside. As it was, he went back inside to Tommaso Allan, who scored under the post. It's brilliant play from Italy. Basic mistake from England to be tight after a maul, kick and chase, but completely exploited by Italy.
Tommaso Allan, who scored the try, has now kicked his 3rd successful attempt at goal. It's Italy 17, England 8. And that is a lovely try we've just seen scored by the Italians. I mean, if we go back through Italy's World Cup, they started pretty well. But of course, under Kieran Crowley, it unravelled by their final 2 pool stage games. They finished with 96 points to 17 against New Zealand. And then France, that was 60 points to 7. While as they do seem to be revived under Gonzalo Quesada. A little bit of new life breathed into them. You might remember we saw so much of them trying to play from really deep at times, often from within their own 22. They weren't afraid to do it, but right now what we can see from Italy is slightly more pragmatic play. They're learning when they should be throwing the ball around and when they shouldn't, as the box kick comes in from the Italians to clear it down the field. It's not the best kick, I have to say, that's come in there by Alessandro Garbisi, and it's got an awkward bounce as it's gone off the field of play. It's ended up gifting England a line out on the far side, but again, it's all about learning to exit in the right way for Italy, which is what we really didn't see from them in 2023.
It's just a poor kick from Garbisi, isn't it? After they'd done well, set everything up, and he's just undercut it, didn't go anywhere.
England then, nice little run then off the line out. Freeman gets his hands on the ball. Big hit coming in there to try and clear the ruck. It's in the middle of the park. This is strong from England. Can they strike back straight away? Underhill now. What a real hard yards work there by the Bath flanker. He goes down to ground. Marler, the 2 times Lion, he manages to go down to ground. Is he going to place that one backwards? Gathered now this time by Mitchell. It's Chesham who goes forward. England working through, using the forwards for the time being. Ford now, he manages to get it and use the back line. Slade is running round Italian shirts. Down on the floor, support comes in from Freeman. Mitchell's going to switch it back towards the middle of the field. Ford is looking for options. A little bit of a run round came in the end. Placed backwards for England. Mitchell, he tries to get it away. Itoje was there. How on earth did he manage that? Great work. Will Stewart drives forward. 2 metres left for England to go. This is better attack from them. Penalty advantage for England coming as well. They just need to put their heads down. Be composed. Itoje will take it on. He pops it off. 1 metre left to go to the line. 10 phases put together. Chesham tries to reach over the top. They'll come back for the penalty.
Held up over the line, so the referee gives the penalty. Good from England.
Held up.
Just from the line out on the 22. Crashing drive after crashing drive.
I know it's hard.
Sam Underhill,
but you're lying right on top of the
flat
ball.
back, driving his legs forward. And then Mitchell, that probing little, he breaks left from the ruck and just carries the ball in two hands. Dummy, dummy, dummy. And then when you don't think he's going to sell another one, he does. And he's getting better and better at getting his hands free and offloading, which he did to Itoje. Good from England.
Okay, so England have decided that they are going to go for the line out on this occasion. There's a little bit of treatment going on to an Italian player, so it's not going to be taken in any way quickly, and I think that's what the Italians want, to be honest. They just want to take a little bit of that pressure away that is just building and swirling here now. It's Italy 17, England 8. It's all been about the Italians, who've scored 2 fantastic tries, the first through Alessandro Garbisi and then Tommaso Allen, as England now step up to try and get a second try of their own. Jamie George, 5 metres out then from the Italian line. It's the England captain who will get the ball in. Full complement of numbers in this line out as well. It goes towards the middle. Roots had it, and here comes the maul. Italy have read it reasonably well at the moment, but then the cavalry arrives. They throw in a couple of backs for a bit of ballast as Ethan Roots is there urging this maul forwards, and it is moving here for England. It's shuffling, it's going a centimetre at a time, but round the back of it is Negri as it goes down to ground. They do manage to break out in the end. It's George down on the floor. Mitchell is looking for Stewart to come in and support. Down on the ground, English ball, then you work round the near side corner. 1 metre left to travel. Ethan Roots waits. It was Marler who took it on in the end. Still the forwards, the backs are just slowly tracking across the field. Eventually they do get it. Slade then with the pass. Now it goes out to Daly. There's a little bit of support coming in this time for Freeman. Freeman can't quite get there. He placed it back because he does so well there not to be too caught. What work there by Tommy Freeman to make sure this ball is still alive. And now it's Maritoje who has it. Marler was screaming for it, but the Italian line, the defensive line, has time to rearrange. Knock on from England. Italy survive, but there is an English penalty against Gianmarco Lucchese for being offside, and England get another chance.
Slick hands from England there. They had 2 or 3 pick and go attempts to try and get forward, and then they went, once they thought they got the advantage to the backs, in and out pass from George Ford to Tommy Freeman, showing real strength, great skill and awareness actually to make a half break, and then managed to keep the ball safe and recycle. It was Slade out the back to Ford. Ford put it across the front of Daly. Brilliant from Freeman to make a half break and then keep the ball.
And a big decision from George Ford that they're going to go for the penalty. And again, this is a test match. As any England fan who will be tuned into 5 Live will know that Italy had not beaten England before in their previous 30 attempts. And George Ford is making sure, if he can, that the England scoreboard keeps ticking over. This will close the gap. If he gets it, he's right in front of the post. He can't be charged on this because it's a penalty. Nice and easy, and that does close the gap. It's now Italy 17, England 11, and for all that heft, for all that grunt, again, George Ford has taken control of the situation.
And it was the right call to go when they did, with the penalty advantage, and they'd heard it. So they tried to, they had a free hit to chance their arm. Freeman almost got there, but the 3 points means it's 17-11, it's a 6-point game. 7 minutes to go till half-time. England score next and convert it, they're in the lead.
The voice of Paul Grayson here with us on 5 Live Sports Extra. It's the opening Six Nations weekend. We've already saw that incredible result for Ireland last night down in Marseille. What an atmosphere that was. The Italian fans here in the Stadio Olimpico, they have enjoyed themselves so far. They're holding on to the lead, but is the English voice going to start to be heard? At the moment, Italy 17, England 11, as the ball comes down for the Italians on the halfway line. Alessandro Garbisi only made his debut back in 2022, just 21 years old, manages to feed the ball back. Support arrives in the form of Fischetti as we get to see another Italian ruck. Garbisi just slowly wanting this one out. He's taking his time about it as he slowly caterpillars it towards the back. Cannone there, offering the back foot of that ruck as the ball goes high into the sky. Taken in the end by Freddie Stewart as the ball is placed down for England inside of their own half. Marler. Harlequins prop, 2017 Lion. Pretty safe hands as it goes back once again. This time Will Stewart. He's going to place it backwards. And England, they are just trying to hold on to the control of this game. That's what we're witnessing here at the moment. Just really slow, composed play until they're ready to do what they want to do. As the high ball comes up from Mitchell on the halfway line once again. Nice tap back there by Daly. Falls straight into the hands of Earl. He gets it back to Ford. And there's free space back there that George Ford sees straight away. But the bounce of the rugby ball is going to be a cruel one. It isn't going to go dead, but it does land inside of the 22. It's a goal line dropout for Italy.
Box kick there that England managed to work their way through the traffic and get first contact on the ball. Ben Earl picked it up. He'd obviously got a loud call from George Ford because he didn't hesitate to pass it back fully 15 metres. Thought there was an opportunity for England to carry on there. They were already into the Italian half. Nevertheless, Ford went for a 50-22. It just bounced dead.
You say that, it's interesting, isn't it? We've seen England attack a little bit more inside of the Italian half. Do you think they're ready yet to attack from outside the halfway line?
You've got to go when it's on, you know. If you've got some width from a set piece, there's no risk to playing wide as long as you know what you're going to do next.
As England go through the phases, and it's Sam Underhill now working up towards the 22-metre line. Ford, captain goes forward. Jamie George back to Ford once again, more support on his shoulder, bobbling ball there by Dingwall. He goes down to ground, good support around him, but England locked out of the Italian 22 for now. Trucked up by Marler once again, who's carried a lot of ball, I have to say. 7 carries so far. Ben Earl been making more carries as the ball is eventually kicked through, but it's going to come back because it's going to be a penalty for England. Taking a player out off the ball. So another penalty opportunity here for England. It's just outside the 22. And it was Freddie Stewart who was taken out as Ford was trying to hack it on.
England have generally been playing to the outside of George Ford. Ford's running off him. Nice to see him getting the ball through his hands quite as often. This time he just took back to the inside. He had Freddie Stewart trailing him in, looking for that hole that often pops up. But Ford just showed the ball to the inside, kept it himself. But it was convincing enough to force the Italian defender, who couldn't see where the ball was, to hit Stewart just to be safe, resulting in the penalties. Good play from England, and that's what I was talking about before, Sara. That build-up of pressure makes that inside defender think, I've got to tackle him. The skill from George is to hold on to the ball. George Ford, beg your pardon, I don't often refer to him as good old George. The skill from him to hold on to it and force the penalty. It's good play from England, good pressure.
And it is George Ford now who's lining up the penalty. Very conservative decisions from England as they are still down on the score sheet. George Ford makes his run up. He's just outside of the 22. Right boot, that one high in the sky, and that one through. So now Italy 17, England 14. They're back within 3. And there's still 2.5 minutes to play until the half-time whistle. Italy at one point, they were leading 17-8, but England have just slowly eaten away.
And you know, the numbers often tell a story. Italy have made 2 breaks, scored 2 tries. England 67% possession at the moment. Italy 33. So England have worked hard for their points. Italy less so.
Once again, Itoje goes up to gather the ball for England as it goes down to ground. Chesson provides the long limbs for the Caterpillar, as does Joe Marler. So the exiting from England is still pretty strong, and much of that credit has to go to Alex Mitchell, who puts another box kick high into the air. Underneath that one is Tommaso Allen, who's quickly wrapped up by white shirts and pushing back towards that halfway line. Alessandro Garbisi, he arrives. He's played a little bit of Italian sevens in his time, as well as he's zipping around the pitch, trying to give quick distribution to his team. Gives it to his brother in the form of Paolo Garbisi. He feeds down the line to Brex, but Italy going backwards for the time being. Then they manage to get him just off a shoulder to go back towards the halfway. High ball now by Garbisi. Tracking across the field to get it, an Italian and an English player, but it's Daly who comes away with it, and he does so well to get a kick down the field. Wonderful kick there by Daly, manages to keep it in the field as well. And the high kick comes back now by Garbisi. This time it'll be a turn of Freddie Stewart to try and do something inside the England half. Sends it across the field of play. It's going to land inside of the Italian 22. And it is Paolo Garbisi again who goes across and uses a left boot there to try and send that out of play. Not to be, as England have it. far side of the field. Freeman going on a run. He's managed to get rid of a couple of Italian defenders along the way. Ball goes down to ground and England still have it. Ford now through Slade. Slade goes down to the ground. Support really good there arrives from Stewart. And this is now English ball between the 10 and the 22. Mitchell. Ford. Big hits coming in by the Italians, and England have well and truly won that territory battle. They bided their time as it spins out towards this near side. It's hacked on by Elliot Daly. You can't get the bounce of the rugby ball, but there was a nice idea gathered in the end by Menoncello of Italy, and they're down on the ground 10 metres from their own line. When it comes to the kicking game, for the time being, it is England who are the kings. Italy 17, England 14 here on Rome, as we are now in the final few moments. Italy are looking closely at the clocks. They need to get this off the field so they can go in up on the scoreboard. They do turn, and that is the half. Half-time here then at Stadio Olimpico. Italy 17, England 14. There's a lot to pick apart, to be fair there, Paul Grayson. If we start off with Italy, who started like an absolute train, you said it, 2 opportunities, they took them both.
Yeah, they did, and we've just mentioned to you there that the possession stats, England have had loads of the ball, and they've done lots of good stuff with it, but they've conceded without the ball. They've made a couple of howlers in defence, and Italy have picked them off. I think Italy's defensive setup looks pretty good, to be fair. England probing and testing. They can keep the ball. They haven't really ripped them apart. But those 2 tries from Italy, England coming in with a mindset of being aggressive and being dominant and bringing line speed. They were completely disjointed for the first one, got busted through the middle. Sebastian Negri was it who made the break and got the offload away. Varney scores under the post, and the second one was organised play from England. They knew exactly what they were doing, they just got it wrong and were exploited by a brilliant play on the outside by the Italians. So 2 tries conceded from mistakes of their own making, England. The rest of it reasonably encouraging, I would say.
And when you say encouraging, you're saying that from an England perspective, although they're down on the score sheet at the moment. Some pretty conservative decisions coming from them to kick their goals, those decisions made by George Ford. A lot of discussion in the build-up over whether it should have been George Ford or Finn Smith starting. How are you feeling about that decision now?
I think Ford's playing well. I like him and Mitchell together. Finn Smith doesn't play dissimilarly to George Ford in that he'll play flat to the line, and he's happy to have the ball in his hands. Any team George Ford plays in, the more the ball goes through his hands, the better they're going to play. It's just that's the law, because he is that good at distributing and manipulating defenders. So to see England play with some pace and him and Mitchell to click, and Alex Mitchell a couple of times just use that running threat that he's so good at, takes the pressure off the 10. So as far as that's gone in the first half, I think they've been excellent.
And before we head off to the Principality Stadium and get all that build up to the final Six Nations match of the weekend, which of course will be Wales against Scotland, I'm just looking at the stats board, as we do like to do, Paul Grayson. A couple of debutants who are in the mix here for England in this fixture. Ethan Roots, he's not having too shabby an afternoon of it. 47 metres he's made in his 6 carries. They're pretty good averages, but again, it's Ben Earl who is busiest out there in the backseat. He's picking up where he left off from that Rugby World Cup.
Yeah, for full-on Energizer Bunny, isn't he? Ben Earl gets up in the morning, switches on, and just goes flat out until bedtime. He's a commanding presence in the England back row, because he brings that acceleration and speed, and also starting to gain valuable experience too. I think the balance of the back row, I'm not 100% certain. Roots, Underhill and Earl, because they probably need somebody like Alex Dombrandt, a genuine ball carrier, standout ball carrier. But you're always going to look down there. You look at tackles made, carries made. There's going to be plenty amongst those 3.
Well, I'm going to let Paul Grayson have a sandwich or a sweetie or some more fizzy pop, whatever you fancy, with such as the fantastic spread we've been given here by our producer Victoria. But we are now going to head off to the Principality Stadium, because of course the second half will come here from Rome shortly, but that is off our back-to-back Six Nations commentaries for you today. Wales are hosting Scotland. That one kicks off at 4:45. Let's head over there now and speak to James Burridge.
Sara, great stuff. Thank you very much. Yes, we cannot wait for this one. 4:45 kickoff. The roof above me closed. A good thing too, because it is lashing with rain and a blustery wind in Cardiff this afternoon. What can we expect from a new look Wales with Warren Gatland now leading in his 17th Six Nations? That's an extraordinary statistic in itself. And of course, we've had the whole razzmatazz about the roof and Gregor Townsend changing his mind, and at the back of his mind, that monkey on their back, the fact that they haven't won here for 22 years. Let's speak to two men who are looking forward to this contest as much as me, the Scottish journalist David Barnes. David, great to have you with us, and Ian Goff as well, former Welsh international. And Ian, you've savoured this place, you've savoured big moments in Welsh rugby history, but this is a different chapter, isn't it, in Welsh rugby history now, with plenty of new, young, hungry players looking to impress.
Yeah, for sure, and I played in that game 22 years ago as well, so I know how it feels. And it was an injury time penalty, I think, by Hodge that sort of that sunk us. But again, it was a game played with two teams that weren't sort of playing very well at the time. But Scotland come with a lot of experience. They're settled, a lot of stability within the side. Whereas, how are they going to? I'm not sure how they're going to sort of analyse us, because a lot of these guys have played very little international rugby. It's been a side that's been thrown together in a short space of time, completely different side that we saw in the World Cup. So Wales are going to come out and they're going to be unpredictable, because even we don't know what they're going to produce today. So it's a real unpredictable thing. Gregor Townsend has been saying this week about their concentrating on themselves, which is great, because that's all he can do, because he hasn't got a great deal to analyse. But it should be exciting. We're underdogs, Wales, in our own stadium in the first game of the tournament, which is unusual. But it's all there for them. It's on the day. But Scotland are looking formidable at the minute.
David, let's take the Scottish perspective. Obviously still hurting after the World Cup, not really firing a shot in the two games that matter, but now they have a chance. They are a settled side, aren't they? They have one of the most settled sides in the Championship. This is just mental, surely, for Scotland today, isn't it?
Yes, well, we Scots are a perverse bunch, and I think that's probably, we've come into this with a settled squad, and we're still not happy, because we look at this Welsh team and we think, as Ian says, we don't know what's coming out that tunnel. We as you say, we had a disappointing World Cup, and my concern as a Scot is this settled squad. How do they kick on from there? How do they bring some spark to this game? Because we're going to come out against a whole load of young Welsh guys that have got a point to prove. We've got a few guys that have got a point to prove, but it's a very strange, because I've come down here so many times thinking we've got a chance, but we probably really don't have any right to think we've got a chance, and end up disappointed. And this time we're coming down, and we do have a chance, and I think all of us are thinking it's all going to go wrong here. I think we're mentally scarred by it. So it's fascinating. How Scotland cope with the fact that they don't know what they're facing.
They don't know what they're facing, because 7 of the Welsh 23 have 6 caps or fewer. But Warren Gatland, the Wales boss, believes his inexperienced side can step up today.
We were disappointing last year up in Scotland. We're aware of that. We're at home. Scotland haven't won here for a long time in Cardiff. There's a full stadium, and we've got a responsibility to go out there and deliver a performance. And I think the enthusiasm of this group of players and young players has been exceptional in the last couple of weeks. I'm really excited about this group that we've got and building over the next few years with some youngsters who I think are really going to grow and develop. The thing is that you can't coach experience, and those young players, they get out there and learn from what it's like to be playing in front of 75,000 people, where things are happening a little bit quicker than you've normally experienced. So I get excited for the young players, and I'd like to think that people see us preparing for the Six Nations, but also preparing for the next few years in terms of a squad that we want to keep together, and a group of youngsters we want to develop, and we think are going to be outstanding players in the next few seasons.
Warren Gatland speaking to the media earlier in the week. Ian Goff, which of these fresh faces excites you the most?
Well, it's lovely to see David Jenkins, the captaincy, it's a big weight to put on a young shoulders there, but he's been doing superbly in Exeter, and he's got a second row. You analyse other second rows, and the kid looks like to have a bright future. I played with his dad back in the day as well, but it's a big ask to get him to captain it, but they must see a lot in him to give him the captaincy so early in such a circumstance as well. Leon Brown up front as well, got a lot on his shoulders today. I think he's only played, I don't even want to say how many minutes he's played this season, but it's not many minutes, and now all of a sudden he's the cornerstone of that pack, and if they don't sort of hold themselves and get at least parity, then we're up against it. The penalty count could be the wrong side for us. So those two guys have got real huge games in them today, and they've got to produce. But there are plenty. Cam Winnett out in the fullback, what a story that he's had this year. He's played less than 16 games, I think, of senior rugby, and all of a sudden he's starting a Six Nations game. This was my first start in a Six Nations game. There's so much emotion going through you. It's such a huge event and occasion, and you only have to walk through Cardiff to see what it means to everyone. So yeah, it's some big games, some youngsters, they've got it there. This is the stage, go out, set it alight and make your name.
And David, equally, we're talking about Cameron Winnett there. Kyle Rowe, his first start in the Six Nations at fullback for Scotland, because of course there is no Blair Kinghorn. So the inexperience for both sides at fullback is going to be tested today. Yeah,
it's interesting, isn't it? We had this big debate all week about whether the roof should be open or closed, and I suspect those two guys particularly were glad when the decision finally was made to keep the door closed. You're saying that's his first start at fullback. He's only started one pro game at fullback. I'm talking about Kyle Rowe here, in his career, and that was back in 2021, I think, playing for Edinburgh in the Rainbow Cup, which you remember, which was a kind of an interesting competition. So Kyle's he's signed for Glasgow, moved back up for Glasgow this season. He's injured at the start of it. He's played well on the wing. He's a finisher. They've been at pains to tell us how good he is under the high ball all this week, which I'm sure they want to get that message out there. But I think I suspect there's going to be a few bombs going up and coming down early on in this game, because these guys are really it's stand up and be counted time for them, isn't it?
Absolutely. And there's been a change at captain, of course, for Scotland too. Jamie Ritchie plays, but he doesn't skipper. Darge, of course, Rory Darge, he's injured too. So up steps the mercurial Finn Russell.
I've played here a few times, but there's quite a few boys in the team that won't have ever played here before, with a full house with the roof closed. So it's going to be a new experience for quite a few boys in our team. So I think for me, again, building that belief and that confidence, and finding a way if things don't go right to get back to what we've trained this week and last week, and just get on to that next job and have that focus if the game's not going as planned. But also if it is going as planned, to make sure we keep resetting, we keep coming back to what we've spoken about this week, and we don't get too carried away, as everyone knows in sport it can change really quickly with the crowd here. If they get into the game, they can have an influence on obviously the Welsh team, our boys that aren't maybe used to it. I think although it's an opportunity, it's still a huge challenge ahead of us, and we've not won here in 22 years, so it's not as if we can come here and expect to win just because there's some younger players in the Welsh team. I think they're all brilliant players, and they're maybe inexperienced, but I don't think that changes how good a rugby player they are.
Finn Russell, of course, David, who 2 years ago got that yellow card, which really handed that last few minutes on a plate to Dan Bigger to slot the drop goal and to seal the victory. He was talking there about the stadium, about the atmosphere, about that 16th player, if you like, playing for them. But equally, I think if you look at it from the newcomers in the Welsh jerseys, they haven't really played with 75,000 cheering them on. So psychologically, how it's going to affect both sets of players is going to be fascinating.
It is fascinating. I mean, Ian's probably in a better position to comment on how that
but from a Scotland perspective,
yeah. I mean, I think because certainly the line that they're using is that they've got to embrace that pressure, they've got to embrace that noise, and they have pointed out that the majority of this crowd will probably be against them, but there's probably just as much pressure when the majority of the crowd are on your side and expecting it. So I mean, it's really fascinating, and I think Finn being the captain by himself is actually, it's a really good thing for Scotland here. The World Cup, it was very intense. Scotland took it very, very serious, and perhaps too serious. It felt like they'd kind of lost a bit of the joy of rugby by the end of it, and I think that was part of the reason that they really didn't turn up against Ireland. Finn's a different character from Jamie Ritchie. He's a laid-back guy, and I think given that they've, it's the same squad trying to get up again, go again, a guy like that, Finn, who kind of just exudes the fun of the game, is perhaps just what Scotland needs to kind of, just click themselves back and remember why they're trying to do this.
And Ian, you are best placed to describe to us just what a difference this place makes when you are down on the scoreboard, and that cacophony of noise kind of surrounds you and injects you with that self-belief.
Yeah, and even more with the roof closed, it becomes phenomenal. It really does amplify it. It's crazy. It makes your skin bubble. It's absolutely insane. But for Wales, we need to have those purple patches. We need to have those runs of the game to get the crowd with us, because and until you do that, until you really sort of convince the crowd that you're excited and you've got confidence, then they don't sort of come on board as much as they could. But when they do, oh dear me, I tell you what, the stadium bubbles and it sparks, and it could create a huge atmosphere for this game today.
And Gatland prides himself and his teams on being tough sides to beat, but you look at the way they've played historically, and it has been kind of based on fitness, immense defence, grinding out performances. But actually a lot of the young talent we've been talking about like playing a faster, looser game, more elusive game. So how do you think Wales will tactically take this game on?
Yeah, you need your basic foundation. You need your fundamentals, and defence, and being attritional at times. You need to sort of back on that. But yeah, we have got boys in there that can tear it up as well, and it's just getting that balance. You don't want to play too much, especially early on. You want to sort of build yourself in the game, get that confidence, and then start rolling, because it's all on momentum this tournament. And I'm sure Gatland's instilling that fundamental, but then giving them carte blanche and free card to be able to attack when they want as well.
A final thought, David, on this one?
I think Scotland should win. Scotland, they're the bookmakers' favourites, but it's fraught with danger. It's fraught with danger from a Scottish point of view.
Fellas, thanks very much indeed. We can't wait for this one, but there are a fascinating 40 minutes to come in Rome. Italy against England. It's on a knife edge. Let's hand you back to Paul Grayson and Sara Orchard.
Thanks, James, and thanks to everyone at the Principality. Yes, full commentary of Wales against Scotland coming your way here on Sports Extra at 4:45. Welcome back to Rome, though, where, oh my goodness, it is Italy 17, England 14. Let's roll out a few stats for you before this second half gets underway. Italy's last home win in the Six Nations against Ireland in 2013. So that was 11 years ago. They lead here at the break. Alongside me here, Paul Grayson, 2003 World Cup winner, about to get underway. I'm going to bleed over the kickoff. Paul Grayson, you spent most of half-time speaking to another England fly half in the form of Stuart Barnes. What has the assessment been?
Yeah, the assessment is if you have a look at the stats and you don't know the score, England are absolutely dominating in every facet of the game. I'll just pick out one for you. England have carried the ball 87 times, Italy have carried it 38, but the scoreboard doesn't tell that story. Italy have made 2 clean breaks, scored 2 good tries and kicked an early penalty from distance, so it's 17-14, but in every other respect England dominated that first half.
Excellent summary. Anyone would think you two know what you're doing.
Same intensity each time.
Right then, from the restart, Maritoji managed to get his mitts on the ball, which was very good. Then Italy managed to grab it back, then it was knocked on, and so we're restarting then, because it was an English hand that managed to knock it on with an Italian scrum, but it's inside of their own 22. It's 7 or 8 metres away from this near side touch as we wait for Alessandro Garbisi to get the ball in, as we hear Swing Low Sweet Chariot starting ringing around the Stadio Olimpico for the first time this afternoon. The sun is just starting to set here in Rome. It's getting higher up across the stadium, so the pitch now is fully shaded over. So it'll be a little bit more chilly down there than perhaps it was in that first half. Really slow ruck coming here by the Italians. No changes from either side at half-time, and really fascinating to see how both benches will be deployed in this second half as the ball comes down then. Ford, bobbling ball, gathers it nicely, switches back direction towards the middle of the field, straightens up and takes it into contact himself on the Italian 10-metre line. Mitchell with the distribution towards Roots, one of the debutants who've been keeping a close eye on. Not too much gone wrong for him so far as it comes back now to Henry Slade. He puts a high one into the air. That's going to surely land inside of the Italian 22, and they call the mark. So England were tracking that one back. Couldn't get a man on it quite quick enough, so Italy will clear their lines.
Good charge down from the box kick by Ollie Chesham. He's a big man, threw himself off his feet to get his hands to the ball.
Italy 17, England 14. Restart then ends up in English hands, sent back down to the Italians outside of the 22. Huge hit coming in by Henry Slade, a man who has worked so hard to get back in an England shirt after that disappointment of the Rugby World Cup, flying up into the Italian faces to slow down that ball. And now Italy have it outside of their 22 once again. So they're going to throw it back inside of their own 22. They're going to be given the warning as it goes back in. Garbisi then puts a high one up. It's almost a cross field he's putting in, and underneath it is Tommy Freeman, not taken cleanly. It's ended up in the hands of George Ford. He's going to give it now to Freeman once again. What a first half he had. He grubs it on. He's still chasing. Oh, it's just going to go out of touch on this near side. Really nice idea there by Tommy Freeman. But the bounce and the roll of the rugby ball means it just bobbles out 3 or 4 metres from the Italian line. It's an Italian line-out.
High ball from Garbisi on top of Freeman. Freeman couldn't control it, but it dropped into the arms of George Ford, who instinctively knew that there'd be space down the short side, gave the ball back to Freeman. Anybody who watched Northampton play this season will know that in those positions he very often manages to recover those kicks and score.
Long ball at the line-out from the Italians. Goes straight back to Treviso's Lorenzo Canone as it goes back to Garbisi. He's going to try and clear. He does make touch, taken quickly by Freeman. Straight away he gives it to Stewart. No interest in forming a line out there. Stewart's still going. Wonderful work there by the Leicester fullback. It's taking a huge number of blue shirts to eventually stop him. And he's right deep inside now of the danger zone here for the Italians. It's English ball, it's slow, it's emerging eventually, and Marler has it. He's going to spin it out in the end towards the far side of the field. Dingwall with the pass out wide. Waiting out there this time is Henry Slade. He runs back inside to heavy traffic. Marler arrives quickly. There was an Italian player right over the top of that, but off their feet, so they do well there not to get too involved with the ball. Will Stewart just pushing England over. 6 or 7 metres to go now until the Italian line. Run round, this is still good. It was Roots there, still going Ethan Roots. He manages to push himself over once again. It's a try. It's Mitchell who goes over.
Not held in the tackle, tries good.
Not held in the tackle. Alex Mitchell pushes and drives and gets over the line for England, and for the first time in this fixture. 4 minutes into the second half, England lead. It's Italy 17, England 19.
Alex Mitchell darting back to the blind side, something he does so well. England had constructed a decent attack to get out to the left-hand side, and then Mitchell just goes looking, trying to get outside the second defender. Ball in 2 hands, pumps once, pumps twice, then goes for the gap. Nobody completed a tackle on him, so he scrabbled back to his feet and dived over the line. It's just that awareness to know that he's not properly in attendance around the base of that breakdown. The Italian defenders, there was a gap that was just too wide. He is dangerous, he really is so good at that, because you know what's coming, it's just hard to do anything about it.
Alex Mitchell came up through that England pathway, played every England representative level from under 16s upwards, and it seemed to sort of float away from him, but came back to within his grasp after that injury to Jack Van Poortvliet, of course, in that World Cup build-up. And he's not letting go of that 9 shirt now. Conversion from George Ford is strong. England extend their lead to 4 points here at Stadio Olimpico. And everything you were saying, Paul Grayson, just at the start of this half, on paper it's been about England, now on the scoreboard it is as well.
Yeah, perfect start to the second half for them, and you can track it back to that extra bit of effort from Ollie Chesham to partially charge down that box kick which bought England the territory, and they finished it off in short order, take control of the scoreboard 21-17, and suddenly stats plus scoreboard tells the true story.
Restart from the Italians, and they've managed to get it. Great work by Negri, but couldn't quite connect there with Ioane. He has to go back, gather the ball, it's on the floor. But a nice idea from the Italians to try something there. They went for the short restart, and they managed to gather the ball inside of their own half, in the middle of the field. They have made a change. Zuliani is now onto the field, but it's a penalty for England. They've also managed to take off the field Ceccarelli.
Back to his feet.
On in his place, they brought on Zilocchi.
On the ball.
So Italy trying to bring on some fresh legs as England have a penalty pretty much on the halfway line in the middle of the field.
Holding on.
Classic work from Mario Itoje there in midfield. Off the line quick. Driving tackle, and then for a big guy, spins himself back onto his feet and competes for the ball in the blink of an eye. Brilliant work from the England second row.
Well, Zuliani is on. It's Lorenzo Canone. He's gone off. He did look like he took a little bit of a knock to his leg in the first half, but he did manage to survive that and play it out. But he's now off the field. So an early change there for the Italians. Also that front row change as well. And what a kick from Henry Slade down towards this near side touch, using that left boot he has. A lot of coaches like someone with a left boot in that back line for this kind of position exactly. England 5 metres out from the Italian line. Saracens, Jamie George getting the ball in. The England captain, not taken cleanly by England. It's ended up on the Italian side. And they will manage to clear. Frustration then from England, who did actually have the best scrum and line-out in the last Six Nations. The set piece was good. Down on the ground, and Itoje goes in to try and slow things down. Ball comes back to Garbisi. He's going to clear on this near side, but that's not a long clearance at all. I don't think Garbisi will want to look back at that one. It's now a 6 metre line-up for England.
Pressure. Ben Earl, Ollie Chesham, double effort, sprinting from the offside line to put pressure on the kick. So as the pass is just a yard to Garbisi's left, he has to readjust, and in the corner of his eye, 2 England players coming to charge him down.
Better line out from England, taken on this occasion by the debutante Roots. 7 metres to travel as they get closer to that 5 metre line. England still trucking forward. Jamie George has it. Slightly lateral now, and there's just a few too many blue shirts getting closer to the ball as it goes to back down the line. Gathered in the end by Freeman. He's used his strength. What an opportunity he has, and he's taking it at the moment. The Northampton Saints wing. Back to Mitchell now. Underhill. He goes straight into heavy traffic. Mitchell gathers again. Earl with the soft hands. This is nice from England. A little pop over the top. Not clean though. An opportunity for Italy. It's loose on the floor. It's gone forward. Italy had the advantage. England have it back. They're going to bring it back because this is all kinds of a mess, and it will restart with an Italian scrum. To be fair to the Italians, they have survived a real onslaught there from England, and they've got a scrum 10 metres away from the halfway.
Yeah, forced into taking some gambles in defence. Menoncello did really well, followed up, won the ball on the ground, and then they popped it. England intercepted it. England had a crack, knocked it on. But again, good from England, in deep into the corner, a decent maul. As soon as it broke up, they had got a move planned. It didn't quite go to hand, but there was a threat there. If they got it right, they could have opened Italy up and scored again.
Okay, a little bit of treatment going on to one of the England players down on the ground at the moment. There's a medic stood right in front of them, so I can't tell you who it is at the moment, but can't tell if it's going to be a contact lens or it is something along those lines. It is Tommy Freeman. It's actually his cheekbone that they're just having a little bit of a check on. Tommy Freeman, only his 4th cap. He's winning at Stadio Olimpico today. Made his Premiership debut when he was 19, only 22 years old today. And again, someone who is just taking this opportunity. Both him and Elliot Daly have had a very strong start to this Six Nations so far, but he's taken a bit of a whack with a knee.
I think it was one of his own players protecting him in the breakdown, knelt on his face. Seems okay, not headed for an HIA, so a little bit sore and everybody gets a break. It's been good first half. Tommy Freeman, worthy of his place in the team, flirted with it under Eddie Jones and then was dispatched as surplus to requirements, like quite a lot of young players were. His form for Northampton is red hot. He is a dangerous player at wing and centre.
Yeah, let's not forget Northampton Saints have finished this extended 20-week period we've had of domestic rugby with them at the top of the pile. Quite convincingly so as well. They've built up quite the lead as Italy are trying to clear themselves out of their own half at the moment. They're stuck in the middle of the field and the English tackles are raining down on them for the time being. Eventually they decide not to try and clear this out. They've knocked on the ball. I mean, question marks already here about how Italy are trying to exit from their own half once again. A similar story. We thought they might have just managed to sort that out. Taken by Henry Slade, who's going to go into touch on this near side. Just a slightly overcooked crossfield kick from Daly. And they're going to come back. We'll restart with a scrum.
Good pressing again from England there in midfield. Forcing the error. Aggressive defence, good line speed, better shape. Players moving together as opposed to in ones and twos. Once they snuffed out the Italian back play, they were easily round the corner and ready for the next carrier. That's where the knock-on came. Eyes just drifting up and away from the ball from the Italian as he saw 6 white shirts in front of him moving at speed with only one intent.
Well, in the coaching boxes we can actually see Felix Jones. He's just checking something on his laptop and now he's feeding that into the analysts and those who put the messages onto the field at the front. So we haven't seen any kind of movement yet on the England bench, as I just see Dan Cole is the first person to arrive back in the technical area from the warm-up, but it doesn't look like he's imminently about to appear. Restart then with an English scrum. Nice position for them, 20 metres out from the far side, England half, and it's a free kick to England here.
Guys,
as we
maintain your space and balance. You're leaning over, too much weight. Scrum again, scrum. Stay where we are, let's go.
Jamie George with a quick decision there for England. Scrum again straight away.
Next one's a full-on penalty. Here we are.
And the warning there against the Italians. Full-on penalty is incoming, as Jamie George just eyes up. Here's a question for you, Paul Grayson. A lot of talk about Jamie George being the England captain. We mentioned it before about how he's a very different character to Owen Farrell. Do you think part of that is arguably Owen Farrell was a divisive character for some, and he was a bit of a target at times? Jamie George is what you would describe as a likeable character. Do you think that makes the opposition think about him differently?
No, I don't think so. He's a test match animal when he's on the field. Likes to laugh and a joke off it, but he's a serious operator when he's in the middle of that lot.
Penalty for England. Italy popping up. Big decision here of what England do.
Blue tight head, angle.
Warning there by Zalocki. And England, once again, I think they've decided they're going to kick for goal.
No hesitation. George Ford just put the ball on the ground and stepped away. Less than a second's thought gone into it. Now they're in front. Build your score.
So a big moment here for George Ford. He's not long come back from a little bit of an injury that he's had. And we've got a change here for the Italians as well. Stephen Varney is coming onto the field. He's going to move into that scrum half shirt as Alessandro Garbisi makes his way off the field. And what was such a strong start by Italy has slowly started to unravel. And this kick by George Ford, if it goes through, makes it a 7-point game. So England not quite denying the Italians just yet a bonus point as the right boot comes in from Ford, and it is good. It is now Italy 17, England 24, 53 minutes on the clock. And England, let us not forget, have not won an opening Six Nations match in a while now. And this is looking a little bit more positive for them, despite that slightly shaky start. Italy have got to do something here, find some form and not starting to fade.
Well, now they've got to chase the game, haven't they? They're under the pump in terms of territory and possession, and now on the scoreboard, so they've got to change something about what they do.
It's Ben Earl who gathers the ball, the Saracens man. Premiership Player of the Year back in 2022, drives it forward. Now Chesham is a Leicester locking teammate. They don't actually play together that often, both Chesham and George Martin, because between the two of them, they've sort of been exchanging injuries, and obviously Chesham can also play in the back row as well, so we don't get to see it that often. But George Martin's still receiving a little bit of treatment at the moment for a knock, and the ball goes out of play out on the far side of the field. Questions mark if George Martin would have been involved in this fixture, because Ollie Chesham could have always moved into the back row if required, as the ball goes out of play on the far side. And we'll restart then with an Italian line out. Now Italy in this second half haven't really had any kind of attack. They've been stuck down at the other end of the field. This is their first time really up inside of between the 10 and the 22, as we've got a new hooker on in the form of Nicotera. He manages to get the ball in. A little bit of a dummy thrown that time by Garbisi to try and fire up the Italian back line. They managed to try and get it away. Oh, it's loose on the floor. Michele Lamero couldn't take it. It goes forward. England get it back. Dingwall manages to pass it down. They come back in the end for the knock-on.
I've got knock-on blue first, but Michele, if I'm clearly wrong, he'll correct me.
Okay, Michele Lamero is getting a little bit annoyed, and they're just going to check again. So they're having a look to see if there's an English hand that came in and caused the knock-on.
So guys, we do have a white knock-on first. It's going to be a blue scrum.
Michele happy.
Just forward from Henry Slade. Again, England pressing hard, trying to get into the passing lanes and put the Italian ball handler off. Just caught the fingertips of Henry Slade. But going back to the scoreboard and the stats, and England dominating possession and territory, that standard away game plan versus a team that you should beat. The scoreboard's irrelevant. to a degree until later in the game. What you want is to take a huge physical toll on the opposition and put them in a position where they've got to change what they're doing to try and keep up with you, and then the last 20 minutes you want to really open the taps and put them away. So England kind of on track for that at the moment, as long as they pull away in the last, what we got now, 24 minutes or so to go. They could finish with like a proper good start to the Six Nations here if they can finish this last quarter of the game off.
Well, Varney there with really good distribution at the back of the Italian scrum. Ioane now coming away down this near left wing. He's tracked back by the English white shirts, but Italy still come. Pop to ball. How did Maritoji get hold of that? Wonderful play there by the Saracens lock, and it's been knocked on. No, it's a penalty now. England offside. So I don't know if Maritoji's way of actually taking that. He's been deemed to have been offside in the process. Yes, it was Itoje. It looked too good.
Got back onside.
Long break, and he was offside.
It was a slow call. I understand what you're saying. I got the call from the AR. You've got the penalty here.
That's really good captaincy there by Michele Lamero.
Yeah.
Reasonably politely saying, just a penalty. Just.
You got to check, haven't you?
Yeah. And straight away, Italy have decided to kick at goal. They're not interested in going for the line out. They trail at the moment by 7 here in the Stadio Olimpico. This would bring it back to a 4-point game, and we're just watching the replay now of where Itoje was and where the rest of the Italian shirts were. I think slightly he was covered by an Italian player.
Yeah, the replay doesn't look massively offside to me. Still retreating as the ball comes out. Then there was a big collision and Itoje ends up with the ball. He's an obvious player, a big player on the pitch. Your eyes are naturally drawn to him when there's a big event. He's normally in the middle of it. I think he might be slightly unlucky there.
Tommaso Allen hasn't had a kick at goal so far in this second half. Lines this one up in 58 minutes, and it goes across the face of the goal just when Italy needed something. Tommaso Allen misses, and that's his first miss of the afternoon here. It remains Italy 17, England 24.
Just on the cross of the 15 and the 22. That's in your 100% zone, really. So we'll be disappointed to squeeze that one to the right-hand side of the post. England off the hook, having made a defensive mistake as Mitchell leaves the field to be replaced by Danny Kerr.
Yeah, the Quinn's man onto the field. 97th cap for him today as he starts closing in on that big 100. As worth saying also, Will Stewart has made his way off the field. On for his 108th cap is Dan Cole in that scrum. Ball just been slightly knocked on there as we had the restart. So they're going to come back. And Dan Cole is deep in the ear of the referee at the moment, having a long chat with him about this scrum.
We're playing the line out because it actually came off the head, so it'll be a line out to white.
Okay, so we are all used to when balls come off heads now after the World Cup. We're quite well adjusted to this law. So from the restart, it came off a head.
So it's going to be a white line.
So it's a white line out. Italy do have the right to be a little bit frustrated about that, but they're just going to have to suck that one up. So it's about 8 metres inside of England territory. Full complement of numbers in the line out. As I say,
more information. It came off the head, but then it came off a white boot and went into touch. It's going to be a blue line out. I think we're there.
Let's hope we're there. Blimey. Right then. And Italy have now walked away to go and have a discussion. Now, this is not what they're meant to do. You're not meant to have a huddle anymore in the build-up to a line out. It's all about speeding things up. The referees let them get away with it.
Yeah, we'll forgive them on that occasion as the referee called the line out the wrong way round.
Right then. There was a knock on there in that build-up.
It was in the line out, so we'll scrum here.
And they're coming back for a scrum. Right, we'd just like to see some rugby at the moment, to be quite honest. It's a little bit of a mess that's going on in the field in front of us all around the halfway line, and understandably the DJ is trying to get the crowd back involved because it's been a bit duff for the last minute and a half, and as they start getting ready to pack back down,
going the other side.
Italy 17, England 24. If you're looking for a bit of football this afternoon, don't forget you can head over to 5 Live right now. We've got commentary of Newcastle against Luton, that one with Ian Dennis and Pat Nevin. Of course, all the goals as they go in from around the grounds. And then after Sports Report, which is at 5:30, we'll have commentary of Sheffield United against Aston Villa, that one with Vicky Sparks and Chris Waddle. Don't worry, more rugby here though on Sports Extra. Wales against Scotland coming your way at 4:45. Free kick though to Italy from that scrum, and they've taken it quickly. They are not interested at all in scrumming down against England any more than they have to. Ball taken forward by the Italian captain just inside of the English half. They're playing on the halfway line and now they're going backwards. Taken forward this time by Zilocchi. He goes down to ground. Nice soft hands coming in. Garbisi, the fly half, he's happy to try and take it forward. Ioane stuck in there as well, but it's gone forward again. Really scrappy play from both sides.
Good pressure from England though defensively. It's a massive hit in the middle of that lot from Joe Marler. Still has the energy this deep into the game to perform his primary function of the scrum. But as the Italian players step back to the inside, Marler came in and absolutely buried him. So England clearly employing a tactic of for defenders to get ahead of each other on the outside, force the Italian players back inside and then pick up the pieces. Didn't work in the first half where Italy scored. That was a good example of the player on the inside being in the right position. Thunderous hit from Marler.
Okay, scrum down once again. It's an English ball just inside of their own half, and Danny Kerr is there waiting to get it in. Referee's going to reset this. Let's listen in.
You guys are fine. You guys are good.
That was to England.
I need you to adjust your bind, okay? You let him get his bind on, then put yours on. Let's go again.
Come on. It's not just box in the middle as well, please.
Okay.
Just have a look.
Yeah. Here we are.
A lot of weight because of no breakthrough.
Take it then. Let's go. Find out.
Okay, you heard the word break foot there from the Italians. That's what they're concerned about. Jamie George says there's no stability as well in the middle of the scrum, and the problem is on the English tight head side, the Italian loose head side. If you love your scrums, then you'll be loving this right now. If you like to see running rugby, probably feel like most of the rest of us. Right then, waiting for that ball to come in from Danny Kerr. Are we going to get a scrum that stays up? Big push from England, who are holding this for now. Danny Kerr is slightly stepping back. Bennell goes in together. Danny Kerr switches back the direction of play. Hacked on ball there by Henry Slade. Oh, out on that far side there. You've got to give some credit there to Pani, who just about managed to keep his tiptoes in. As we're now playing a little bit of ping pong. Ball is high into the air. Garbisi is underneath it. He's about 10 metres outside of his 22. Needs a few more players to arrive to shore this one up. The Italian players don't stay on their feet in their desperation to try and hold on to this ball, and it's spun out down the Italian line. They had players outside there on that left-hand wing. They decided not to use them as they're stuck on the 22-metre line for the time being, as the English defensive line is holding strong for the time being. Still Italian ball. Italy 17, England 24, 63 minutes on the clock. Varney with the high ball into the air on this near side. Underneath it is Stewart as it goes out of play, but Ioane has trapped back really nicely there to stop England taking the quick line out again. And we have not seen a lot of rugby in the last 5, 6, 7 minutes, Paul Grayson.
No, the game's just stalled, hasn't it? A quiet period where there's been 1 or 2 knock-ons. It's taken a while to set scrums. The referee got the line out wrong, then he got it right, then he got it wrong again. All eats into time and just sucks a little bit of the momentum out of the game. But England have a good opportunity here as long as this break in the game isn't too long. Joe Marler receiving some treatment away to our right, so the high-vis brigade get onto the pitch with all their water bottles. But England, it'll resume with England line out on the halfway line. 16 minutes to go. As I said to you before, Sara, this is the time when England should be looking to open the taps and really take advantage of the fact that they dominated Italy for the majority of this match. Now's the time to kill them off.
Well, at the moment it's taken a very long time. 63 minutes on the clock. It is still a 7-point game, and there are still water bottles and treatment going on all over the field as everyone inside the Stadio Olimpico just goes, oh, could we just see the ball moving around a little bit more at the moment? Slightly frustrating. Just thinking about the game so far. I'm going to completely jinx it now, I know it, but I'm going to say it. We haven't seen the bunker yet.
No, well, we know the speed the game goes at. It's a chaotic sport at times, and those collisions do happen, not on purpose very often, but now and again they do happen.
Well, Italy have got a few more replacements lined up for the next breakdown in play as England take their line out and drive it down this near side touch. George at the back there, 86th cap for him today. Kerr directing traffic at the back, just getting Roots to reassert himself on the other side of that maul. Roots, of course, who don't know his backstory, a bit of mixed martial arts in there. I believe it's Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, as England managed to get a kind bounce of the ball and they gathered it in the midfield. Kerr goes in to take it out, finds Roots once again, who's been happily taking on ball on his debut. Spun out ball this time by Kerr, finds Earl. He straightens straight into that Italian defensive line. Not many white shirts there to try and shore this up. So England have got numbers in the line. Bounce of the ball, been hacked on. It's a bit of a mess. Italy know that they're offside. It's gathered in the end, you have to say, by Freeman, who was really alive to that. Italy also did really well not to touch the ball on that occasion and caused themselves to give away the penalty. Huge pass out to the far side to Elliot Daly, who's completely isolated. He knows it has to throw it back inside in a weird looping pass. But England had a penalty.
England struggling to get outside the Italian defence. They're employing the same tactic as England. High press on the outside, a stifling tactic. One way of getting around it is to go to the boot, look for a crossfield kick, or a grubber kicking behind, but then you're increasing your chances of losing the ball. England need to be more direct, like they were a little bit in the first half. Carry strongly into the middle of that defence. You can take the line speed out of it by dominating a collision, getting on the front foot, as England looks set to give first caps to Finn Smith and Chandler Cunningham South, who are both stripped to their white kits and getting warmed up by the touchline.
They are waiting for the nod. They've already had a nice handshake and a pat on the back by Richard Hill, but they need to wait for George Ford to kick this penalty first. 25 seconds on the shot clock as it works its way down. Ford has only missed one so far this afternoon inside the Stadio Olimpico Stadium, as it does go high into the sky straight through. So this is a very comfortable cushion now for England. It is Italy 17, England 27, and here we go. Onto the field comes Harlequins Chandler Cunningham South, who's making his way onto the field. It's actually Sam Underhill who's making way for Cunningham South. And off the field comes George Ford, and on comes Finn Smith. 21 years old, on debut, and a lot of people are very excited to watch him play rugby and be in charge of this English team. There'll be, if anyone out there is a Marcus Smith fan, you'll be frustrated with that injury he picked up. But Smith's performances for Northampton, particularly the performance that is endlessly mentioned with his name attached to it, was Northampton's win away in Munster when they were down to 14 men, how he ran that show. There are hopes that he will be able to replicate that in an England shirt. So he's got 14 minutes here to try and do something. Also changes for Italy. I can see Miro Spagnolo, he is on. He's also on debut for the Italians. So running ball from Italy on the halfway line. They attack at the moment down the far side channel. They bring it back towards the middle of the field, going through the hands for the time being. Another debutant on the field in Alessandro Zico, as he passes it out in the end to Ioane, who's refusing to be tackled, and Maritoji eventually deals with him and brings him down, but Italy stuck inside of their own half. And Italy, sometimes they had a habit last year of continually running themselves out of their own half and eventually just running themselves out of gas. They do come back, and Garbisi recognises that situation brewing once again and sends the ball down the field. Chasing back after it now is Finn Smith. Lets it bounce a couple of times and sends it back sensibly to Freddie Stewart to clear down the far side of the field. Must be nervous when your first touch is going to be a bouncing ball.
I was just thinking that first touch in international rugby, turn and go back to a ball that's spinning and bouncing on the floor, could go either way.
Yeah.
But
it's fine.
Well, as I said to you on and off air, he's incredibly mature for 21 years old. Very cool head. Dealt with it perfectly, passed the ball inside. Freddie Stewart smashed it back off the field, so no surprise that Finn Smith gets his first action in international rugby right.
Messy line out from Italy. Maritoji goes in to snaffle it, but our referee says no. It was knocked on before that.
It's gone forward off the head, touched the blue player. Accidental, scrum white.
Okay, so in England get a scrum off the back of that. So 68 minutes on the clock. Italy out of bonus point range at the moment. Italy have only got one win in their last 8 Six Nations championships. Their tails would have been up after the first 20 minutes of this fixture when they were
14.
Leading so convincingly.
Okay, make it fast.
But it's just started to unravel
14,
once again, and you just feel that familiar narrative when it comes to Italy is just going to re-emerge. Right, change here for Italy. Coming onto the field, Federico Mori. He didn't know he was actually going to be involved in this fixture, but after that illness to Ange Capuazzo, he was called in onto the bench as Pani was starting, and Pani makes his way off the field. Ange Capuazzo has made such a name for himself of the magic that he can bring to this Italian side, and they've missed him today.
It's amazing, isn't it? Slight little figure, but brings all that pace and daring and that little X factor that you create half a gap and he's gone. Been in some significant moments for Italy in a very young career, but ultimately you've only got a handful of those players, haven't you? A handful have got that sprinkled with stardust. They're not always going to be around. You still got to try and get the job done somehow. As England get penalised at the scrum.
Yeah, big penalty here for Italy. They'd be very ploughed with themselves, particularly Spagnolo on debut. I think that might have been his first scrum in an Italian shirt, and he's just won a penalty against England. Well done, young man. 23 years old, plays his rugby at Benetton, and Benetton Treviso tracking so well in the United Rugby Championship, second in the table, and it is of absolutely no surprise at all that the majority of the players who are in this Italian side are from that club. Okay, Italy line-out, far side of the field, outside of the English 22, and then mauling this one away for the time being. Benno getting his head down, getting involved in that maul as much as he physically can. A warning goes to Italy, as we can see Ezekiel having to take it down to the ground. This is messy, and Maritoja's over the top of it. Just loses his footing. And Garbisi had to come in and do a little bit of a scrum half work. So Ezekiel now on debut, he takes it forward, he gives it to the other debutant who comes in and grabs it, in Spagnolo. Spun out down the line, Mori, the curly haired wing. Varney, options on either side, but this is really slow ball from Italy, and what they prided on themselves in the last Six Nations Championship was just the speed of their ruck. It was quicker than any other side in the championship, and they're just slightly more tentative, particularly in this second half at the moment, now that things are not quite going their way. It's the 50 Caparuzza who takes it down to the ground. Big hit going in on Brex, but have they managed to make the space? This is better from Italy. Allen has it back inside. Mori is there. He's trapped back. Ioane has to go in and gather. 15 metres from the England line. Lovely attack down this left wing here by the Azzurri. Centre field. Still Italian ball. There's no one there. There is absolutely no one there from Italy. It is so slow. This time Zuliani takes it on. Over the top goes Roots. He was legal. He was good. Now it's Itoje who goes in for another nibble, and the two attempts get the penalty. England will clear.
Positive counter ruck. Blue 21, holding on.
Well, Itoje and Roots there, both getting a little bit of credit for their efforts there. And they'll slightly prove that was a lovely attack by the Italians down the left.
Yeah, and they opened England up again, didn't they? In the same way they did in the first half. England's line speed's been pretty good. Second half, they've been better organised. Just shows you, though, it is against an attack that's organised. They haven't quite got the understanding yet of that defensive system.
5 white. Sorry.
And if Mori had given the ball back to Tommaso Allen, he'd have been in.
Alex Coles has come onto the field. I think Ollie Chesham is making his way. He's got a little bit of a limp, Ollie Chesham, as he just comes off the field. As England have a line out near side of the field, just in the halfway, and Danny Kell juggles with the ball and knocks it on. Chandler Cunningham himself tries to hack it away. As Danny Kell can do nothing but hold us off his hands there and go, okay, my bad. And will pack down now for an Italian scrum, and they'll feel quite confident about this Italian scrum. The last time we saw one, we saw a penalty for them. So a big moment here for the English forwards to try and reassert some kind of authority here. Next week, England, they'll be at home against Wales. Wales still to come here in the Six Nations weekend. They're hosting Scotland. Not too long to go now for that one. Just under an hour's time. That one will be getting underway at the Principality Stadium. Italy next week. Well, what can you say? They're going to Dublin as Jamie George, the England captain, makes his way off the field. Coming on in his place, his Saracens teammate, Theo Dan. And Jamie George, not been a bad few weeks for him.
No, fair play to him. A good guy, deserving of the honour of leading his country. Having said that, the last 10 minutes of this rugby will not be the finest of his career or any of them. The game has ground to a halt. It's a different spectacle to last night.
Yeah, certainly. We were treated to something quite electric there, weren't we, of Ireland pretty much not missing a beat. Johnny Sexton, who will just carry on, will drive on regardless. We know what we're doing. Defending their Grand Slam title, and for them, as we said, hosting Italy next week in Dublin. That one, a 3 o'clock kickoff on the Sunday. They will be absolutely licking their chops at that opportunity. Italy at the moment will be concerned. Right, ball comes away then, goes down the Italian line. Huge hit coming on out on the far side, and the Italian player is still down injured at the moment. I think it was Freddie Stewart who put in the tackle, and the Italian player is hurt, whoever it is, as the ball comes back towards the blue shirt. It's gone forward there in that last contact. England waiting to pick it up.
No advantage.
And they're saying it was actually an England knock-on.
Scrum blue.
And Elliot Daly just making his way back and showing his frustration shown. But we're just going to see now this thumping tackle that was put in eventually. I'm not sure they're actually going to replay that moment itself.
Showing what looks like a trip from Elliot Daly on Pani over on the right-hand side. The crowd has seen it now. Ref's called time off. There will be a penalty to Italy. He was beaten by the footwork and just instinctively stuck out his left foot, Elliot Daly, and tripped the Italian winger.
Just give me a second, I'll come back to you.
Well, you can hear the way this is going to be the voice of Paul Williams. He's going to be speaking to his TMO, Brett Cronin of Australia, and all the cameras are trained on Elliot Daly
Paul,
right
we just need
now.
to have a look
Here
at
we
the
go.
actions of this white tackler here. Puts his foot out. It's number 11, White.
Oh, yeah.
I beg your pardon, it was Menoncello, the centre was out on the right wing. It's just done Daly with good footwork there. In his resplendent, in his pink boots, the Italian centre steps back to the inside and then jags back off his left foot to the outside. Daly on his heels as he goes to grab him with his hands, just sticks his foot out.
No. You've clearly put a foot out to trip him. It's a yellow card.
Okay,
Paul,
yellow card for Elliot Daly.
5 metres in.
Penalty for the Italians.
On which side of the half?
Still not seeing the big tackle that went on the player just before that incident anyway. I have to say,
15 metres in.
it's a yellow
5
card,
metres
but it's not clear, completely clear. He was also trying to wrap his arms as well. But you've called it straight away, and I don't like arguing with a World Cup winner.
Look, I don't think he meant to do it. It's instinct. You're trying to stop someone, it's instinctive. But as soon as his left foot moves towards the player, makes contact, there's no need to for many VAR reviews on that one. Definitely not a red card, but absolutely a yellow, because he was done. Menoncello was away. That's the only way he could stop him.
I'm not going to argue with you. I'm not brave enough. Maybe one day.
You can, but you'd be wrong.
Very wrong. Okay, 75 minutes on the clock. Italy 17, England 27, and in England they are going to have to see out this game now with just 14 on the field. So far side of it's going to be an Italian put in. They haven't made a huge amount of ground, I have to say, from that penalty opportunity. They're playing between the 10 and the 22. Little dink over the top comes from Garbisi. There are 3 blue shirts there, but it's Freddie Stewart who gathers it. Does really well there, Stewart, to actually get that ball back. And it's all about control now for England, because if they let anything go here now, 3 points is enough for Italy to pick up a losing bonus. And here comes the big caterpillar from England. hasn't been sparkling rugby at all in this second half. It has been absolutely turgid at times. A lot of mistakes from both sides, you have to say, but it's England who have had the stranglehold on the fixture as the box kick comes in from Danny Kerr down the far side of the field and gives Italy a line-out back pretty much where they were before from the penalty, to be honest, and it's still an Italian attack between the 10 and the 22. Well done, Freddie Stewart.
Yeah, brave there, wasn't he? 3 Italians. He's running full tilt, 90 degrees to the direction of travel of the Italians. Could have got absolutely smashed in a collision. Good take from the fullback.
The last time England actually came to Italy, they won 33-0, so it's not going to be that kind of scoreline. That one from 2 years ago in 2022. Last year it was a 31-14 bonus point win at Twickenham. Doesn't look like England going to be picking up any bonus points here as Italy muck up their line-out, and a box kick is sent down the field then by Danny Kerr, and it's bounced into the arms of Chandler Cunningham himself. Here he comes, firing away down that far side touch, but he is a big hulking man, Cunningham South, and his whole weight almost sort of propels him towards the far side touch. Out of play for an Italian line-out.
Yeah, bouncing ball landed straight in his arms and off he went. Full sprint. Half hurdled the tackle, but chopped to the ground by Ioane, I think.
Tommy Freeman being called off as well.
He's an impressive looking athlete, isn't he? Cunningham South.
Well, 2.5 minutes on the field for Manifewe Waboso of Exeter, another debutant on, so you have to say Steve Borthwick has used every single one of them, and Fewe Waboso straight away called into action, and a big action as well as he drags into touch on this near side the Italian player in the form of Ioane, and that means it is an England line-out. Okay, so this is likely to be one of the last things we see on the field of this Six Nations clash between these two sides. Ethan Roots is given Six Nations player of the match for the effort he has put on debut. 59 metres that he's carried in his 8 carries in total. I have to say Ben Earl, when it comes to carrying a metres may, is streets ahead, but for a first outing he's been none too shabby.
Yeah, it's a great day for anyone to make their international debut, whether it's home or away. A young lifetime of effort and energy and sacrifice. Whatever your route to this place is, it's special when you get there. To cap it off with player of the match, that's awesome for him. He'll hope it's the first of many in an England shirt.
Okay, there's a little bit of treatment going on to an Italian player in the middle of the field at the moment. I think it's Garbisi, which is why it's taking so long for this line-out to actually happen. Theo Dan is finally on his feet, and the medics make their way off the field. So it's 78 minutes 22 seconds, and the score is Italy 17, England 27, but England are playing with 14 at the moment with Elliot Daly in the bin. This line out for England is inside of the Italian 22. It is gathered clean in the air by the player of the match, Ethan Roots. Of course, he could have played for New Zealand, but he's been captured by England. We're going to no doubt hear plenty about his backstory in the papers tomorrow as the ball goes down to ground. Really strong legs being worked there by Fewe Waboso as Danny Kerr looks up for options. They keep punning away on that left-hand side, and they've got penalty advantage as well. Theo down with a strong carry. This time it's Ben Earl, the Energizer Bunny that never quite runs out. Other batteries are available as the ball comes now through the English hands. Cunningham South, he loses it forward on the ground. They've got the penalty advantage though. On 79 minutes, still an opportunity for England to capitalise. All I'm going to say is a penalty here would see out the clock. But I think Finn Smith is opting for a line-out.
Guys!
Yeah, there's no need to just wind the clock down and chip another penalty away. It's been the opposite of what I was hoping for in the last 20 minutes, actually. England, I was expecting to go all out to try and kill Italy off and really sort of flex their muscles a bit in attack, but they haven't done that.
Ball comes in from the line out, so a last throw of the dice here for England. The clock will be gone in 12 seconds. Theo Dan has it at the back of the maul. It's driving forwards. There's Italian players down on the ground. Will the referee give a penalty advantage? Yes, he does. It's English ball. It's going to come away now through Danny Gay. Thinks about sniping round the corner. His body is so low to the ground. The Italians have to be so careful to tackle him, and comes back now to Dan. Dan working his way forward. Good support by Feo Waboso to make sure the ball is safe. 5 metres for England to get to that Italian line for try number 3. Itoje is there. He manages to pop it back and away, still being held tight by the forwards. Kerr switches it back inside, goes towards Finn Smith, who's very high in his body position, needs to get down to the ground. Referee decision here.
That's you. Collapsing them all.
Okay, warning for the Italian players. I think, is he going to send the Italian captain to the bin?
Wait, timer's off.
Yes, it's Michele Lamero. The Italian captain is sent to the sin bin with the clock in the red. It's 14 against 14, England with a penalty.
Too many penalties down here, collapsing them all.
Okay, England want to
Scrum.
go, and they've
Right.
opted for a scrum 5 metres out from the line. Now, I am pragmatic. This is a long Six Nations campaign. Why would you not get everyone off the field in one piece, as they could now do? Paul Grayson, tell me about an England mindset right now.
Space and balance.
They don't want to stop. They want to score.
Space and balance.
They want to finish on a high. All those lads who just got on, desperate for another touch, desperate to finish with a bit of fire in their bellies and joy in their hearts.
Let's hope
You're
no
far
one
too
knocks the ball
sensible.
on.
or gets hurt.
Exactly. All of the above. Right then, England going for it. They want more here in Rome. They want to lay down a marker, make a statement here, and they're going to try and do it through a scrum 5 metres out from the Italy line. We're approaching the 82-minute mark now. 14 against 14. Penalty to Italy. They will clear this one away.
Brilliant.
Or are they going to try and run it to the other end of the field and try and get a losing bonus
elbow
point?
down.
Here we go. It is within their gift to try and take another line out as the ball is sent down the far side. So they've got a line out still inside of their own half. We play on in Rome. No one is going to throw this off as we see a shot of Elliot Daly and Michele Lamero having a chat in the sin bin. They're both smiling.
Naughty boys together.
Right then. 82 minutes 31 seconds. 14 against 14. The Principality Stadium will wait. Right then, that's where we're heading next for Wales against Scotland as Italy get a clean line out. Chandler Cunningham himself with a big tackle there for England as they try and push the Italians back inside of their own half. Izikor now has it. Lovely run there from the Benetton Treviso player. Down on the ground, Italy still stuck inside of their own half. England just waiting, need to keep clean discipline here. Discipline from both sides. Not too bad throughout this so far. 11 penalties conceded by Italy, 7 by England, and they'll be delighted with that number as it spun out towards the far side. Still going through the hands. Oh, that's really nice there, taken forward by Menoncello, who's had a pretty good game for the Italians, you have to say. He's been involved in most of the stuff that's been good. Ioane out on the far side now as they approach the England 10-metre line. Izikor decides to go for another run as they approach the 7th phase of this attack. Spun out by Varney on the halfway. Garbisi with a cross-field kick, waiting underneath it calmly. We can see there is Zamboni. Down on the ground, he does so well for his feet not to go in touch. That was a really good kick, you have to say, by Garbisi. Hasn't gained a lot of ground, but they didn't lose it. Spagnolo drives it forward. English defence holds. Beno Urbano trying to get his tackles in. Ethan Roots makes his tackle, loses the man, and Ioane is off. Ioane is flying down the far side. Will England be able to stop him? The gamble has not paid off for England. It's Italy who go over. They score. They will get the losing bonus point in this fixture. England could have made sure they came away with nothing by getting it off the field. By kicking a goal, they said no, we wanted to play on. They pay the price. Italy get their losing bonus.
And there's the risk. England wanted to take the scrum, wanted to finish on a high, score again. Ref gave a penalty, and fair play to Italy. Well, it's good stuff to get from one end of the field to the other. The cross kick from Garbisi around the halfway line. Then they went wide again. The ball bounced around a little bit. England pushing high on the outside. And then a good fend from Ioane. And he is quick. The England player just couldn't recover. And that's a good finish for the Italian fans. But truth be told, that's a low quality game of rugby for an international, and as
particularly
much as
the second half,
absolutely, particularly the second half, and as much as we enjoy coming to Rome, and we're all hopeful that England can improve and build, but we do live in hope. But make no bones about it, it's a 4.5 out of 10 as a test match.
Okay, Garbisi then will have the final say of this test match. He will knock that one through the post, and that makes it a 3-point game. Italy 24, England 27 is the final score here. England, if they decided to kick their penalty when they had it, when the clock was in the red, they'd have won by 13. Not to be. And it does make the complexion of this game slightly different in what the analysis of it will be afterwards. But let us not forget, this is still an England victory, and they have opened the Six Nations with a win. Haven't said that for a while.
No, good news for them. That would be the aim when they came out here. More questions than answers in terms of the actual performance itself. There was some good stuff in the first half. I thought England were building quite nicely, controlled the ball well, put Italy under pressure without any real cutting edge, but I thought Freeman played particularly well. Dingwall was quiet but acted as a facilitator, and Alex Mitchell and George Ford looked good together up front. England carried, when they did carry hard, Roots and Earl and Chesham, they got on the front foot, and it looked okay, but it came to nothing in the second half. And as your phone lights up with all the WhatsApp groups, I don't know how many you're in, one of mine popped up with the comment, "Big half here, this is the wooden spoon decider."
Oh, who wrote? Are we allowed to know?
That's from an English person.
Is it from a former teammate?
Oh no, nobody.
Family?
No.
No.
A friend who's shall remain nameless. Ed, he knows who he is. But I sense the frustration of the England supporters. Anyone who's come out here to Rome, there's a massive upside, isn't there? Get out the stadium and wander around Rome. But as a rugby match, we were hoping for a jump forward for England, and we didn't really see it.
Would we be having this discussion as deeply as we are if England had have kicked that penalty and it'd been a 13-point win?
I think so, because of how the game finished. The last quarter of the game, where I was expecting England to pull away, nothing happened, and they didn't take it by the scruff of the neck and make anything happen. And ultimately, the scoreline, 13 points or 3 points, doesn't change the fact that it was not a high-quality contest.
Well, the next time that we will see England out on the field, of course, is next week when they will be hosting Wales at Twickenham. That one, a 4:45 kickoff. That one, of course, will be live on BBC Radio 5 Live after the football is completed. And England at the moment, they are just there in a little huddle having a chat. A few of them are swapping shirts with the Italians as well. And just quickly before I go, Paul Grayson, because I'm going to go down and get some interviews with England. You're going to stay up here for a little bit longer here on 5 Sports Extra. Just a quick word on Italy. They took their opportunities. They've got 3 tries. They were 3 points away from levelling, 4 from beating England. Considering some of the scorelines they had at the end of that World Cup, that's good for them.
I think they'll be pleased with their work. They look defensively organised. They employed a high press, cut England off quite a lot. They took their 3 tries, and the first 2 tries in the first half were great. Took advantage of mistakes in the English defence and finished them off well. New start under new management. And they'll be disappointed to lose, clearly, but it's a decent start for them. They contained England well enough and took their chances, so a marked improvement from the end of the World Cup.
Right, I'm going to disappear. Paul Grayson is going to stay here as we head over to the Principality Stadium. More Six Nations rugby coming your way. The full time here is Italy 24, England 27, as we now focus all our attention on Wales against Scotland. Come in from Cardiff, James Burridge.
Well done, Sara. Yes, why don't you leg it downstairs and go and get the reaction from England and Italy. Paul Grayson's going to stay with us for a couple of more minutes before he can head off for a very well-earned glass of Chianti, Grace, or whatever takes your fancy. You called it 4.5 out of 10 as a second half. Why was it so sluggish? Why was it so uneasy on the eye?
I'm just wondering whether I've been over generous there, actually. Essentially, the game almost cancelled itself out because there was no, Italy weren't producing enough to put England under any real stress in defence, and what England didn't do was control the ball like they did in the first half and build any kind of pressure so that they could take advantage of some reasonable work. So, and there was a period where it went from one knock on to another knock on to a scrum reset to an injury, and just like you lose 8 or 9 minutes of the game. And that's one of the things that rugby union still needs to fix, because you end up watching an international contest where for 10 minutes nothing happened. But I said to Sara in commentary, and I kind of stand by it, your template for going away and playing against a team who you should beat is to put them under physical pressure. The scoreboard doesn't really matter, but you would expect to absolutely pour it on them in the last 20 minutes when they run out of puff. Their decision making becomes poor because they've been under pressure for a long time, and you put the hammer down and kind of run away with it the last 20 minutes like we've seen all black sides do for decades. And I was hoping that's what England were going to do. The second half they just didn't do anything.
And there were, I tell you what, when Italy were running in the tries, there was a lot of Welsh fans around us watching on the big screens who were lapping it up. It was quite an impressive recovery, mental recovery from England, particularly from the younger players, not to be shell-shocked by the way Italy were playing.
Yeah, and that the opening period of the game, the 2 tries that Italy scored straight through the middle of England. Sebastian Negri made a clean break, nice little offload, and they score under the post. And then from an England box kick, a really nice little bit of interplay with the centre and fly half Garbisi, and they get the ball out to Tommaso Allen, who scores untouched under the post. They were 2 brilliant strikes, but at half time the stats were England had 65% possession in the first half, and they actually played okay. They built a reasonable body of work. So whilst they weren't necessarily in control of the scoreboard, they were in control of the match. And that just goes back to what I just touched on, is that the scoreboard's kind of irrelevant. England would have expected to score 30 points in this game, 30 points plus. So the fact that you're down at that point, it's not reflective of how the game's actually going. You keep your composure, you build your game, and eventually you'll get the fruits of your labour. And they got themselves to a point where they were back in control of the scoreboard and should have been looking to put Italy to bed, but it just never came.
Got Andy Nicol and Philippa Tuttiett alongside me here in the Principality. Andy, what did you make of that England performance?
Well, the bits and pieces I saw, I thought it was at times they looked that they were trying to expand the game plan we had. And actually, Grace, if I could ask that question, because we talked about it last night, didn't we, in the preview show on 5 Live, about whether Steve Borthwick would sort of put into play what he'd talked about during the week. The bits I saw, Grace, they looked that they were a bit more expansive. Is that what it looked like to you in the stadium?
Yes, definitely. They definitely moved the ball through 9 and 10 quickly. George Ford had his hands on the ball quite a lot. They got some decent shapes. Italy defended well, to be fair. They weren't broken down easily, but when they did get it right, Tommy Freeman made a couple of breaks. He looked really exciting. They carved out a lovely try. Elliot Daly down the left-hand side, where all the pieces of their attack worked. They got on the front foot and they got deep into the Italian defensive line, and all the passes stuck, and it was nice and pretty. It's just that, you know what it's like when you're playing in a team who are functioning well. You do it once, then you go and do it again, then you do it again, then you do it again, then the dam is broken, and you kind of carry on. England, they weren't quite good enough to take that next step, but there's definitely signs there that there's a system that's developing that will give them more options and ultimately be a bit easier on the eye.
Grace, good stuff. Thanks very much.
Thanks,
excellent
James.
as ever, Paul Grayson, with Sara Orchard in Rome as England come through against Italy, 27 points to 24.